Well, hello chat. It's time for my monthly stream. Okay, I hope I remember my keybinds for changing the screens. Did it change? Yeah, it did change. Okay, fine. Okay, boys, here we are. Everyone been asking me, well, not everyone, but a lot of people has been asking me for a tier list, and I appreciate it. So here it is. Maybe a bit late. We are like 1 month after the league has ended. So, and today I'll be joined by Poero. So I imagine it will take us about the hour or maybe even longer.
I guess we'll see how long it's gonna take.
Oh my god, Havoc already on stream and so on. Okay. Anyway, Gondor in 8.3.1 was very solid. I think Gondor remains still a solid faction. It really benefits from not being gimmicky, and most things is solid in this faction, like units, heroes, spellbook, although with some exceptions, Boromir obviously non-tower and so forth, so on. Anyway, for now I put it in high A tier, and it's not deserving S tier just because of its one big flaw, and mainly Gondor fits. I don't think there is a single other faction in the game that fits as much as Gondor. Its tier 1 unit fits, its tier 2 unit fits, like it's not a fun experience when you are going against faction that feeds the normal amount of XP and you are Gondor and you are simply losing in the spellbook department because, well, your units are simply dying and you are being outtraded purely on the power book advantage. So anyway, for now it's high A tier. Poero, what do you want to say?
I agree. Like, it's a solid faction. It's very like momentum based. Like, if you are winning, you win hard. If you're losing, you're gonna lose hard. At least that's how I feel it. And especially with the Trebuchet, very powerful tier 2 spell that usually might even end the game already, especially in 1v1 if you're winning a little bit and then you hit them with the Trebuchet, it might just end the game right away.
Mm-hmm. So like you have one of the best tier 1 swordsmen in the game. They used to win with almost everything that is not tier 1 half unit or guardian. I think currently they're only using 2 guardians and Lorien swordsmen after Lorien swordsmen have been buffed. Lincoln pikes okay, but you get easy access to cavalry. Pinif gun and gun are pretty decent, very cost efficient. Like even your archers, which not used that often, are pretty good. And yeah, then you don't have to tehap to level 2 because you have Axemen of Losarnach and you can basically ball on your fiefdom units until end of the game. And those units are strong enough to actually carry you till the end of the game. And on top of that, you can go tier 3, Dol of Citadel. I know Poero prefers Weather, but I actually like Citadel very much. And then you get like your almost tier 3 units, the Dol of Men at Arms and the Dol of Swan Knights. So basically you don't have to tehap Gondor at all, which makes it much easier because you don't have to waste time and resources. And even if you want to tehap, it's not encouraged as Gondor because your Minas Tirith units feed as hell, and general the combat performance I don't think is worth it to even be bothered with them. And in the late game, you have one of the best archers, like Phelan Rangers, and one of the best elite archers, as I already mentioned. You also have those Swan Knights, which are one of the best heroic cav in the game. Strong heroes, except Boromir, and I guess Denethor. When it comes to spellbook, like the Trebuchet is fucking amazing. It allows you to close the game very early on with that tier 2. The problem is, with that Trebuchet, in Age of the Ring, production buildings are extremely tough. If you have certain faction that can take down the production buildings of the opponent, that's a huge boom to that faction. Oh.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And well, as you said, I do prefer the Weather, but I also know like the Citadel can be very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And the units you get from there they are good. Like, it's not a bad investment, but I think most of the time the 15-second stun alone can already win the game as well.
Mhm.
But you know, you get both from the trebuchet anyway, and both are very strong options. So you always are able to just take the better one.
And then they both go into LSR, which is one of the best tier 4s in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like having the permanent tier 4 is extremely strong because you know those games tend to go quite quickly, and if you have a power that give you permanent units, that's very strong because there are not that many units on the field to begin with because the units are usually dying because the game is very fast. And yeah, if LSR can die very easily, let's say in the team game scenario, he's not going to die very quickly in 1v1 because there are simply not enough of stuff to take him down. So that's very strong tier 4.
Yeah, definitely one of those powers that's very strong in 1v1 and well in team games.
Also
can be strong as well. Yeah, also strong, yes, but has much more danger of just losing LSR right away.
Okay, there is not much to say more about Gondor. I think overall solid. There is issue with feeding, and I think if you would solve that issue with feeding, then maybe it would be fit for S tier faction. Although you would still have to nerf some things, like for example that trebuchet, right?
Yeah, I think actually the trebuchet is so strong power that it's warping the whole faction right now. Because like the whole gameplay basically revolves around the trebuchet early on. Like it either wins the game, or if it doesn't do enough, it might also lose the game.
Do you think if that trebuchet wasn't there, it would be like B tier, or is it still A tier?
Actually might drop Gondor to B tier without the trebuchet, honestly. Like, they still have a lot of strong options, but the feeding problem would be too much. Because I think most like A and S tier factions that we are gonna have, they all have very strong like tier 2 powers. And without trebuchet, I don't think Gondor doesn't really have like that good of a tier 2. Like the Ithilien Woods, right? Is the one of them. It's good, but it's like nowhere near as good as some of them. So I think that feeding problem would just lose you the game more often than not without having a good tier 2.
I mean, I think the Ithilien Wood is amazing, but the issue is you need to go rebuild or heal to get Ithilien Wood, and you can go straight from the horn into the trebuchet, which is much better option.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of like lack the powerful path to tier 2, which other like S and A tier factions would have. But maybe Gondor still would be A tier. They have strong heroes, and Axemen I think are probably the strongest like unit that you can get from barracks. I mean, like level 1 barracks, obviously you just need the hero, but Forlong is quite cheap. But they are just simply amazing unit.
Yeah, like a lot of people want to nerf them because they think they are too strong. I kinda disagree. Sure, their damage output is amazing with that splash, but they are only a little bit more tougher than the clansmen, so they will still die to archers very easily and like to anything else.
Yeah, but the splash is such a huge thing, especially when there's like no taper off. It deals full damage on the whole radius. I think if there was like a
split
taper off, like you deal like let's say 25% splash damage only when the unit starts getting further and further away, then it could be fine. But because it's the full damage, you just absolutely destroy any weak meta units, which is basically all the spam factions.
I mean, you destroy everything that is not tier 2, and usually people don't go for tier 2 because it's not worth it.
Yeah, and even tier 2s, like if you just clump on them, like let's say you have a 15-second stun from your weather, and you just run on top of the units, and the splash is just gonna destroy the whole army within the stun.
Yeah, it's quite easy with the stack fix.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal why they are much stronger than what I heard they were in the past.
Okay, maybe let's move on. There is not much to say about Gondor. I mean, we can go into further details, but I don't think there's much point. Don't want to sit here for 2 hours.
Mostly about feeding and strong trebuchet, and everything else is solid or even stronger than that.
Yeah, exactly. Rohan, when I was making tier list for 8.3.1, I said Rohan without draft tower could be A tier, and oh boy, I was fucking wrong. I would put Rohan into the C tier. What do you think? Oh, okay, I see B tier.
I know. I'm not sure about Rohan. Like, because I still don't think Rohan is just not figured out completely as well. But they have very obvious problems. I think the whole farm mechanic with peasants is a little bit problematic. Of course, it can be very strong in some situations as well. But it's like very one-dimensional right now. I feel like it's gonna be peasant spam into cavalry, and then you just try and basically leverage that early start to winning the game. But you don't really have any very strong transition options early on. So you're just kind of locked into the peasant spam. And also when you spam peasants, you will have like 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 farms less than you would otherwise have. So it's such an all-in faction in that situation.
I don't know.
So you either win hard early or you don't win at all. At least I feel like.
Yeah, I think like 90% of the issue with Rohan could be resolved with just changing the way the peasants are produced. So let's say leave the peasants and the yeomen at the farms, but also at the same time give the option to the player to get yeomen and peasants from barracks. Because the way you play Rohan, there are like 2 schools. You either make your farms normally, like you would do, and then you convert them when you need a unit to produce said unit, and then you convert them back, right, to the resource production. Or you either just build farms normally, and then next to those farms build extra farms that just solely there to produce units, right, just like would build barracks. And no matter what you do, if you go with option 1 and option 2, you are fucked, because if you are producing peasants from your resource production farms, which means basically you are wasting farm space, you are wasting those farms are not gonna level up, and if those farms, let's say, are level 3, then it's still a lot of resources wasted. If you build extra farms as your production buildings, then you're fucked by the inflation. So no matter what you do with Rohan, it's basically gonna be painful early on. And as you mentioned, like there are problems with transitions with Rohan. There are no easy way to get out of the the peasant loop, because Westfolders are locked behind a hero that's not that good. Of course, you're not gonna make the dismounted Kingsguard. They are too expensive, and they are not like dedicated swordsmen or anything. You still have to swap them for extra price. And so basically the only thing you can do right now with Rohan is probably rush horse archers, because they're absolutely busted. The thing is, those horse archers are quite expensive, which is fine. But at the same time, if you have only one option for the mid game and late game is Rohan, that's I don't think it's balanced, and I don't think it's healthy design, because those horse archers are basically only getting countered by the spellbook powers. If you get to the point when you have, like, let's say 4 or 5 horse archers as Rohan, then you're probably winning hard and probably gonna win the game. But if you are not capable of getting that critical mass of horse archers, then you're probably going to lose, because currently the horse archers are your win condition as Rohan, and I don't think it's like good spot for Rohan to be in if you have to rely on one unit, especially after your early game is so painful already.
Yeah, I do agree. Like horse archers, well, we play a lot of team games, so they are much more prevalent in there.
Yeah.
And 1v1s, of course, you can just overwhelm your opponent with just peasants basically, and cavalry support. That happens every now and then as well.
Yeah, that can happen.
Mostly when you just have a simply better player playing Rohan than the opponent.
Yeah.
So you basically win with peasants, or you're kind of stuck with them, or maybe you get heroes. Like before the inflation fix, Rohan, obviously the faction felt very strong, because it didn't matter what you did, you were always going to be the richest player in the game. So I think like the peasant spam and also the archers are kind of okay, but I think the economy might not be good enough right now, because due to the very strong performance with the inflation bug, I think like wells were nerfed, for example, as well.
Yeah. They were from
Eowyn
20 to
had
10%.
her like cost increased as well,
Yeah.
and I think Rohan is suffering from those nerfs somewhat as well. Like maybe without those nerfs, the peasant spam would be much more potent, and you actually might be able to, you know, do something during the games most of the times instead of just, you know, going pure peasants. Because like Eowyn is still pretty good hero.
Yeah, very good.
But she used to be like amazing. She was, I think, possibly the best hero, early hero to get because she was so cheap and she supports the peasants so well. But right now, she's still good. I think she's in a very good spot right now. But that only reinforces the fact that you are just locked into peasants if you go her right now. Because at that point, you could also try and do some transition. And horse archers, even if they are amazing, you basically forfeit all your capability of destroying buildings after you start spamming them.
Yeah.
Until you get fire arrows, and that's usually losing play in 1v1s at least. So I don't know, it's tricky. Like there's a lot of things Rohan can and could do. And also you mentioned the way to build your base basically. You either just play regular and then you turn your farms into peasant farms and then turn them back to make money, or you just have a couple dedicated farms to basically like barracks and you just spam from all game. Excuse me, I need to sneeze.
Bless you.
Almost died. But I don't know, like either way doesn't really feel good. I think the right way is to use your like regular farms to produce peasants, but that is so macro intensive that I feel like nobody can keep it up like truly well enough. Like at some point you are going to forget one of the farms to wrong like side and you're gonna be punished so harshly for it.
Yeah.
And also I think the whole discount system they have right now, like the regular farms discount cavalry, right?
Yes.
And then the windmill discounts infantry.
Yeah.
And if you do the math with the windmills, I don't think they are like basically never worth it. Like you have to do 20 or 40 depending when and how many you make the windmills, like 20 or 40 peasants before they actually even like make even. Not to mention like you would actually have any kind of real discount for the units. So I think that's a little bit too harsh. Maybe the amounts should be changed. Or maybe the 375 cost for windmill is just simply too much.
I mean, I would rather to try out something new with Rohan rather than reverting the changes. But if any changes were to be revert, I would rather prefer the windmill change to be revert, or maybe like change windmills, the pricing, because as you said, it's totally not worth it. Like the discount changes made windmills obsolete, and they cost 350 for no reason. Like, why would you get them?
Yeah, I think like most factions, it's the forge, right? The secondary farm or resource building, whatever. So with Rohan, I don't think you actually have any reason to have the buildings at a different cost. That's just my opinion, of course. But like you could have both of them at 300, and you just choose whether you want discounted cavalry or infantry.
Yeah, you can even.
And it would make sense.
You can even leave the current infantry discount like different from the cav discount, you know, because after all, Rohan is supposed to be mainly cav faction, so.
Yeah, but that would like pretty much reinforce the current gameplay. I feel like you can start with the infantry discount, and then when you get map control with peasant spam, you start expanding and you start getting like the cavalry discount. And also it doesn't make it so easy to just, you know, spam peasants and follow up with cav, because that gameplay loop is kind of broken, to be honest. Like getting a lot of spam infantry and then followed by cavalry can be extremely strong. And if and when, I suppose, Rohan is going to get somewhat buffed, I would say, in the next patch, just a guess, of course, then, you know, that easily can get to the point that it's suddenly way too strong. Because having a lot of infantry and then sudden cavalry behind it can just win the game right up.
Yeah, it could be the case. Yeah, another thing, if you make the windmills viable, then you might also make Westfolders and these modded Isengard viable again, so that will be pretty cool. Because like currently, if you're paying 500 for Westfolders and 700 for Kingsguards, it's definitely not worth it.
And then there's of course the draft tower, which actually I have heard a lot of not so good things what it used to be.
The Pandora books.
Yeah, I have heard that it used to be a bit of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, well, I've seen it every now and then, but most Rohan players pretty much avoid it. It's just not used at all most of the times. Especially, I don't think I have ever seen it in 1 versus 1 team games every now and then. But I think there's some like untapped potential in the draft towers as well. But then again, they can be problematic. They let you skip tiers basically, just get elite units right away. So of course they can be problematic. But I kind of feel like they could be like some sort of solution for some of the Rohan's problems. But right now I don't think they are. But to be honest, I haven't really played around with them myself, so I'm not sure if they are viable right now or not.
I don't think draft tower is like viable because like not only is things in the draft tower got more expensive, the summon peasants, the duration is shorter, but like draft tower was enough because everything you wanted as Rohan was in the draft tower, and currently as Rohan you want to get stables to spam horse archers, so this is one of the reasons you also don't want to get draft tower, and then are obviously other reasons like the that short duration summon and those expensive units. Also you get Halathirians. Why would you get Halathirians? You can get horse archers, which are currently much better. Halathirians used to be better, but now horse archers are better. So yeah, there's big issue with that draft tower and how it works, how it used to work.
Do you know what they should do about the draft tower?
No.
They should have how well has like a huge radius that increases. You can basically fit 3 farms into it. Well, gives the production boost on them.
Yeah.
You will make draft tower the same, but all the like similar radius, and all the farms in that radius can produce peasants without losing the ability to get the resources as well.
Oh,
Imagine.
that's very interesting. I wonder if it can even be implemented like mechanically in the code.
Maybe not. That's just a wild idea
so.
just suddenly had.
Yeah.
There could be some upgrade maybe, like you could do it and then that would be available in the farms. But I think there's a lot of room to innovate something, but I definitely do think Rohan needs like something. I'm not even sure what it is, but something, just a little bit. Like it is slightly below average right now.
Yeah.
And I think C tier is justified, especially after this conversation. I'm pretty sure about it. So, just a little something nice, and it's going to be completely fine, I feel like.
I say, give those goddamn peasants to barracks, but it's just me. They will probably there's like too substantial change for it to be implemented, I think. But I have no idea what else can be done.
That could be one of the solutions.
Yeah,
or it
the
could
easiest
be just
one.
economical as well, that's not.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty obvious where like the problems with Rohan are, and there are like million different ideas to fix them. But the main thing is that something needs to be done, like a little bit. What about you? What about Power Tree on Rohan, by the way?
I don't know. It's mostly, maybe not mostly. It's partially fine. We have some very strong choices. WC Scout into Westfold, into Crowdblake, into the Free Hunters. That is the best optimal and the best route. Also, sometimes you can play right side, like rebuild into of Kiru into the Piggy, into the Free Hunters. Left side, rather not played because Master of the Rohirrim is not that great. I don't think Grand Harvest is worth it, and then Grand Harvest goes into one of the worst tier 4s, that is End Summon. Yeah, it's one of those spell books where clearly some of the choices are far more viable than the others. Is it strong with that route I mentioned at the start? Yeah, I think so. Like I think the Horn of the Westfold could be nerfed, but I don't know how. Without making it obsolete, the Free Hunters got buffed for no reason. That also probably could be nerfed. Also, you can make other things more viable and summon tier 4. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree pretty much everything you said, but I think the biggest problem is that there's one very obvious route, as you said. It's just on into stun into tier 4, and it's like very little reason to ever go away from that. Like you can go rebuild, yes, you can go oath, yes, but should you? Probably not, if you'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like rebuild is a good power, but most of the times when you get it, you're already losing, and you know, if you're losing, you are gonna need bigger and stronger powers faster. Not gonna just pick up the second tier 1. So either it should truly be something that rewards you in order to take that detour, and I don't think rebuild, if you're winning, you never want to take a detour as well, because if you're winning, you usually don't want the rebuild anyway. Maybe to save level 3 farm, but that's pretty rare anyways. When you're winning, you shouldn't be losing them anyways.
Yeah.
And I like the peak, but I never see it because nobody ever goes that way, right?
I mean,
But
pick is
I also
strong, but I'm getting disappointed by its targeting as of late, so I don't know. It feels very LNG.
That is, I think, the problem with the wild summons. Like, for example, the worm used to be uncontrollable in the vanilla Rise of the Witch King, and that was pretty bad power back then. And when it was made to be controlled, it got hugely better right away. So I think maybe the peak should somehow be controllable as well, and maybe it needs some changes after that. I don't know.
But
I haven't seen it enough to have really strong opinion about it, or one way or another.
But this motherfucker can solo a fort if you use entire duration on the fort, so it will be issue with being controllable. Then you have to nerf it, and then it would probably not be viable enough because it couldn't destroy enough unit to justify picking it.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty confused about what the power is supposed to do. Is it supposed to kill buildings or units or both or just everything? And then it has a buff when it dies. It's pretty much all over the place.
What the hell?
It's kind of weird, but I like it. But then again, you could just basically rework it and use a worm as a base. Like it could do about the same amount of damage and same amount of duration and usability as worm. Maybe a little less if you have the buff and debuff as well.
Yeah, the issue is it's far more mobile than the worm, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course. But anyways, I just hope there was a reasonable way to get other powers as well. And I don't know about you said it's not worth it to get the 20% economy boost on tier 5.
On tier 3.
Tier 3, yes. 15 power points.
I mean, it sounds very strong.
I kind of agree, yes.
It sounds very strong, but usually around tier 3 the game is beginning to close. And then you have tier 4 that is pretty bad, that isn't summon, so that's the issue.
Yeah, it leads to worse tier 4. And usually at tier 3 you might want to start hitting pretty big powers, and just getting economy is always nice, but doesn't do enough, I guess.
That's the issue. Some of those spells in Rohan spellbook are nice, but there are far better things to pick. So
maybe if it was active for a duration, let's say duration 3 minutes and cooldown 6 minutes, and it give you a much stronger economic boost, faster, it would have a bigger impact, and you actually would have reason to pick it. That's something we have done 202 with Fuel the Fires. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do, but I think that Power might need something.
Shall we move on?
Sure. If you feel like Rohan is gone through, maybe shortly about heroes. We didn't really talk about anyone else except Eowyn.
Nah, so I think Rohan used to have one of the best hero squads in the game. I think that trend still continues. Like the only hero that got hit kinda hard was Erkerbrand, but quite often I would make Theodred instead of Erkerbrand anyway, so I don't feel it that much as maybe some other people. So yeah, realistically, I think the only bad hero in the Rohan roster is Erkenbrand, and that's really it. Like every hero just has its price justified by its performance.
Yeah, I agree. I like most of the heroes are not amazing, but they're not bad either.
Nah.
Maybe with the Erkenbrand doesn't really do much, but I guess he has his place as well.
Does he?
Not like well, you know, the place can be low, but there is a place. But like, yeah, I think I don't have any strong feelings about any of the heroes anymore. So, like Eowyn, I think was amazing, but it might have just been the inflation bug anyway.
I don't know. I still think she's quite strong, and more of the issue with Rohan in general than the heroes. Boromir from this. Oh my god, actually we skipped Boromir, so imagine
at level 1.
we skipped Boromir, so I'm just gonna say it. By the way, Erkebrand I think is only 100 HP, has 100 HP less than Boromir. Also, Shagrat has more HP than Boromir, and they all of those have the same type of armor, so that's funny. And Boromir is the most expensive one. Yeah, Boromir needs some like mini rework. Like the guy is so fucking useless. It's unbelievable.
Yes, I agree.
Mordor. I think this is the first time when we're really gonna disagree, but I would put Mordor into the B tier.
I think Mordor's performance varies a lot depending what they're playing against and which map they are playing in. I think B tier might be justified. Like I would maybe say top of the B tier or very bottom of A tier. So I actually am not that mad about that placement, at least yet. When you put something in front of it in B tier, then we might have to discuss about it.
And we will.
I think that's fair.
So, my point of view, I think the most important part of the game, early game, obviously, like it's important for faction to have some offensive capabilities, and I think Mordor suffers the most when it comes to those, because like you used to have trolls which are absolutely busted. They obviously got nerfed. Now they feel more like the defensive tool than offensive tool. You have Variags, which were viable only in few matchups, but they were viable in those few matchups, but now they got nerfed again. And now you have Orc Spam, which got fixed, no longer feeds like a hell, but it's not that good to go on the offensive with orcs, and they probably won't destroy that much unless your opponent has really problem with spam, for example, Woodland Realm. So I think that's the real reason I would put Mordor into the B tier. Also, another thing, Mordor in general, and a lot of people agree with that, have issue with hero management. And if your faction is kinda mediocre in the early game, and in the mid game and late game, when it's all about heroes and you don't have those heroes and you can't really manage the enemy heroes, then you have an issue. That's why overall it's in B tier.
Yeah, I do agree with a lot of what you said. Early game Mordor, not the greatest. You have the orc spam, and I would say the basic build you should go always. It's basically 3 orc pits with 4 farms, and then you basically see what's up, and then you know adapt to what your opponent is doing. Sometimes it's trolls, sometimes it's Nazgul, sometimes you might do even something else. But I think that should and does, I think, work in most matchups. the like difficulties attacking early with Mordor
Mhm.
kind of feed into the whole like counter-attacking type of gameplay that Mordor is very good at, I think, because you also like there's some inevitability to Mordor. Like there's gonna be a lot of orcs. You know there might be very strong like transition options very fast into the game. Like for example the Nazgul. Like if you are not prepared, you're just gonna lose the game to that one single Nazgul. So you kind of feel pressured to hit Mordor early, but when you are defending, you also usually end up getting PowerPoint advantage, unless you defend bad. And then Mordor also has very strong like tier 2 options. Like for example, Slaves of Nirn, amazing. Economic boost, always good. And then there's some, maybe even a cavalry summon if the opponent is not prepared for it. I think the troll spam can get out of control. Like, sure, they are much weaker than what they used to be. But after you get 4 or 5 trolls, I don't think there's not many factions in the game that can deal with it early game or even mid game.
Yeah, but that's the issue. Mordor needs time, and usually, like most of the other factions, don't need that time. They can go straight into your base and start destroying stuff. So you're basically buying time as Mordor for yourself, and sometimes, like the option you have after you bought time are not that good. So, because sure, you have different tech ups, but usually it's just best to just stick with basic orcs and Nazgûs. So it's weird.
Yeah, true. You're right. I think they definitely do struggle early on, and sometimes the transitions just don't hit. Sometimes you just make a mistake, and even if it's a mistake, it gets like punished very harshly. Like other faction are much more forgiving. But then some options, like for example, we're talking about how Mordor obviously has some issues dealing with heroes. I think that's pretty like well known. There's just not that many units that can deal with heroes. But then they have the Fell Beasts, which are kind of crazy right now against heroes.
Yeah.
And I've heard like with the Flyer Bug, which used to be a thing, they were even more crazier.
Yeah.
But I think they still are very, very strong, especially when you have like tier 3 that can summon 2 of them.
Yeah.
I have seen Gandalf and Saruman die instantly to them, and that's gonna keep happening if they deal that amount of damage to heroes. It's absolutely ridiculous. They shouldn't, like, there's no way 2 Fell Beasts should kill Gandalf or Saruman with half their duration left. And also, of course, you can get your own, like regular Fell Beasts, just buy some upgrades that are actually quite accessible. You just buy it in 2 parts. It's 1.5k in the fort, right?
It's 1k for fort and 1.5 for Nazgûl.
Oh yeah, that's the other way around. So 1k in fort and 1.5 per Nazgûl. And those Nazgûls are so strong because you can basically just keep your whole base safe. It's impossible to harass you with cavalry anymore, and you can't even do with heroes because the bastards kill the heroes so easily as well. But also, in a Mordor fashion, there's a huge risk if you lose the Fell Beast ever. You have to buy the Nazgûl back, and then you have to buy the upgrade back, which is, well, not a choice I would make. Like,
yeah, you lose one Fell Beast, then you're not buying it back.
Yeah, I think the Fell Beast upgrade should stay. Like, it feels so bad to lose the Fell Beast. So I think it's at the same time it's way too strong, but it's also way too weak. Like it needs to be more narrowed down. Like you can nerf it, but then you can have the Nazgûl retain the Fell Beast, and it's just much more middle of the road.
This is Poero is asking what about Uruks. I mean, I like Brak Uruks, but at the same time, I don't know, do you need them really? Like, they will kill most of the control groups of your enemy, but still, like, maybe just get more heroes, bro. As always with Age of the Ring.
I feel like there isn't a comfortable spot when you go for Black Uruks. You know what I mean? You have your protection for the farms, and what you are getting is just units that dies to archers anyway, and it can achieve as much farm harass as, I don't know, 4 battalions of orcs. So you make them, and you can make just orcs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, like most of the time, the basic orc spam is gonna sustain you now that it's good, or at least good enough. There's not much reason to just get better orcs, because you usually want to some unit that does something different than your regular spam is already doing. Sometimes I think Black Orcs might be a good thing, especially if you gotta hit like a lot of buildings. Then they are very good at that, and when they level up, I think they get pillage as well, right?
Mhm.
So they can be a good option, but most of the time, like replacing bad orcs with little better ones, it's not like value enough.
No, they say something.
Despite being 30% of Uruk population, Black Uruks commit half of the builder tiers.
Okay. I think you should be fine on stream now. Yeah, I mean, the time for Black Uruks comes when you start thinking about how to deal with enemy heroes, and I think that's the main issue.
Yeah, usually they are just not the one or the thing you need when you're starting making transitions. Maybe there are some builds where you go just double orc bit and you just start with early Black Uruks. Might work in some
Antifascista
cases.
doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe not. Also, how about talking about trolls? There's a issue that they might kill units that are supposed to counter them, also known as pikes. That's kind of true because the orc spam with trolls is very strong. Like the troll can handle the cavalry, and then the orcs can handle the pikes. Even if they are very strong pikes, troll can just put them down with a tree, for example, just knock them down, and orcs will kill them.
Yeah, I generally think that trolls need scalar against pikes because it's stupid that unit that is supposed to be countered by pikes actually is capable of killing those pikes, even sometimes when unsupported.
Yeah, I think the trolls also might have a little bit too fast of a creation speed, especially when you stabilize the map and you just keep making trolls. You have a lot of them way too fast.
Yeah, but early
Because-
on they are costing a lot. Even if they also take a lot of time, then you're gonna probably lose the entire map control.
Yeah, that's true as well. But if you start stabilizing with, let's say, you defend with 2 trolls with trees, and let's say you are playing Gondor, and suddenly you can't really harass because the trolls can deal with the pikes. So the sword pike can't really go in anymore. You're just gonna feed, especially as you are Gondor. You can't really just send units to die against trolls. Then you have to stop and get some archers, and suddenly there's 5 trolls.
Yeah.
And no amount of archers you're gonna get early game is gonna save you from that.
Like your best bet as Gondor is hope that you have Faramir and that Faramir is already free so you can summon some rangers as well.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not problem right now. I agree. Like right now, Mordor's early game is so weak that they don't really get to abuse the fact that they can get trolls mashed out so quickly. But if some of the weaknesses of Mordor early game get fixed, then that might become a problem in the future.
Also, I think something needs to be done with their heroes because holy fuck, we basically have no answers against enemy heroes unless you go with Sterling Archers, which is like the obvious answer: Elite Archer versus Hero, right? So the late game Mordor meta used to be just mount every hero you can and round destroy farms because there is nothing your opponent could do about it, and like it's probably still true because I saw someone do it and it worked fine. On top of that, they are still like maybe not enforcing, but buffing that meta. They buffed movement speed of Mouth of Sauron. So I don't know, maybe instead of buffing the mounted hero squad of Mordor, like buff those heroes in the way they're fighting in melee and against other heroes, because like it's weird to Mordor have one of the best mounted hero squads in the game.
Yeah, I think the orc heroes well, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't used them a lot. I made them every now and then, but most of the time you just, again, you already have the orc spam, you don't really, want better orc spam, you want Nazgul or anything else.
So
Your transition needs to do something else than what you already have.
yeah, so Gorbak is a hero killer that has difficulty killing heroes. Usually he dies to heroes. Shagrat, I mean, Shagrat you either get because you want to buff your Brak Uruks, you usually don't get Brak Uruks, or because you are just hero spamming. And then there is Gothmog, which is locked behind the fortress upgrade. But like realistically, you are going for that heavy armor only later in the game when you actually need heavy armor not to get fort rushed.
Yeah, so maybe some attention to those heroes. But then again, if you buff the orc heroes and make the orc spam better and actually, have answers to the early game maybe, then there's a lot of problems that Mordor is gonna bring in the mid and late game. Because I think like after Mordor survives the early game, maybe gets Slaves of Nern, suddenly they are looking very scary and strong faction. Like, if they had a decent early game, I think they could be very high A tier faction easily.
Yeah,
Because
surely.
suddenly they have like huge amounts of options and they can stack so many buffs. I think the power tree overall is quite solid. Actually, I think Mordor has one of the best balanced power trees. You can
Really?
go pretty much
Mordor?
any road and it's... Yeah, almost, yeah. Because I don't think any road is like straight up bad.
I mean, it could be that the left side is the worst. Funnily enough, I think that horn into barricade into darkness is not that bad. I mean, mostly horn into barricade because like darkness is pretty good. But like, I'm not a big fan of the Calf summon and not a fan of Shelob because like your tier 3 Felbeast summon is much better in killing heroes than the tier 3 killing heroes Shelob,
Yes, you are absolutely right. But I think it's more of a problem that the Fell Beasts are broken. They are just way too strong against heroes, especially. I think against anything else, it's arguable. But then again, in Age of the Ring, there are so many battalions that has very like low model count. So flyers are always going to be very strong against those because there's just less models, so you can almost one-shot the whole battalion. Especially when they are clumped, you might just lose like 2k worth of archers very easily to one Fell Beast. But I think Shelob could use some love.
Also,
Doesn't really do enough against heroes. You're right.
and the Fire of Orduin is straight up better than Eye of Sauron. So that's the issue.
Actually,
yeah.
I think weakest part of Mordor's power tree is the tier 4s. Like, Eye of Sauron is good, sure. It probably might win you the game. It's stun and it kills pretty much everything. But if the enemy army is not clumped, it's not that great. And also the fires, sure, it might one-shot the army, but there might not be clumped army because, your orc spam is probably spread all over the map anyway. So usually the game is like very spread out, I think. And radius is not that great. And also the damage is not that great. It doesn't like one-shot even the like level 2 barracks, I think, from most factions.
What, Fire of Orduin?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it does. It actually has pretty good building damage. It's like unit, building, and hero killer. Why I is already struggling just with killing heroes. I mean, it kills units, but it barely kills heroes.
That might be. I think I have used fires like a couple times. Maybe it does one-shot level 3 farms. Because I think that is like the minimum threshold for tier 4. Like, you have to be able to one-shot tier 3 farm with that. if it's supposed to destroy buildings.
I'm pretty sure it does.
We need to test that at some point.
Yeah. Also buff
But
Witch King.
anyways,
Like they buff HP of the Witch King, but they didn't nerf his mounted damage, so now he's even more annoying to kill when he's mounted, but he's still an absolute bitch in melee and dying to everything. So. And this is Poero is asking... Wait, is he asking? Oh no, Silk Road is asking... No, he's saying that it's interesting. No, the people really choose Mordor Horn. Okay.
yeah, I think all of the starting powers can be good. I think the fires are kind of bad, but then there are like couple spam matchups, like against goblins or Mordor. Like if you ever would play mirrors in Age of the Ring, I think it could be good against Mordor. But otherwise, I think it's kind of useless. Like the best thing about the power is that you get the slaves later. You get the economy boost. But you know, I think that's also kind of fine. Like if you have weaker tier 1, you need to lock like the best power behind it, which is usually Slaves of Nern, to be honest. But I kind of like it. The options you have, Barricade, it's growing on me. I think it's actually kind of strong. If you ever get it in front of your enemy production buildings, I think the game's pretty much over. Like, it's not trebuchet levels of game over, but it's not far. Also, the cavalry summon, it's not the greatest, but, you know, sometimes it can just absolutely crush your opponent. Like, if it doesn't play pikes, if you get good flank into archers, it can be amazing. And I think that's like good. Like, it's a high variety power, and it's fine to have those. Sometimes it's not gonna do anything, sometimes it might even win you the game.
Transer, is Poero lagging for you sometimes?
I don't know. Maybe I wasn't very listening, to be fair.
Okay, so
I'm still stunned by the fact it's 1 hour and you guys talk about third faction.
oh my god, it's fine.
Oh, is it really?
It's gonna be around 4 hours of a stream if you go with that tempo. Also, I would like to say that Mordor is one of the less annoying faction to play with, because there's not a lot of annoying things with that faction. No stealth bullshit, no power bullshit. I mean, maybe never mind. No unit bullshit for the most part. You know, the barracks works like normal stuff. You don't have like shitty mechanics.
It's not gimmicky, we get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I think Mordor is one of my favorite factions in Age of the Ring. Like, it's just nice to play.
Yeah,
because it's similar to 2.02.
I liked Mordor,
might
but
be
it was
also.
broken. Now Mordor is no longer broken, but I still kind of like it. I think it's mostly fine.
Yeah, a couple things. Pelvis mostly, I think, should be fixed. And then you are gonna have problems with heroes. So you have to get something in compensation. Otherwise, pretty solid faction.
Let's go further. Okay, so Isengard. I think pretty good, pretty solid faction, but it feels very weird to play as Isengard in early game at least. I will put it into low A tier.
I think I'm gonna agree.
You're gonna agree? Damn. I thought you're gonna be like, man, what the fuck? You're putting higher than Mordor, brother.
No, I think you could argue that Isengard could be even S tier. But you could say the same about Gondor, I think. But you could also argue that Isengard could be P tier. Like, I don't think either opinion is wrong. And, you know, you're just left with, I guess it's A tier, because it could be S or could be B, depending on the matchups, depending how you play it. So I think that's the right spot for it, actually.
Yeah. So, like, Wild Men are pretty good, unless they're getting hit by archers. Probably this is why it feels weird to play as Isengard early game, because of those units you need to rely so much are getting absolutely shredded by archers even after the Pierce armor buff. Then you have Warg Riders, which are kinda bad and kinda good at the same time. Very squishy, but with Howl, also very high damage output. You have Uruk Scouts, which are fucking amazing, but they have longer recruitment time than Whitemen. Then you have to wait for those Uruk Scouts to be made to send them off with Whitemen, like control group. But it's like strong. This early game is like strong enough, and then you transition into mid game and late game, and you probably will absolutely roll your opponents, like just with the spellbook of your economy or with the units you get from your spellbook. So
Yeah, I think that's, you know, pretty good way to put it. Sometimes strong, sometimes weak, depending what you play against.
yeah,
It's mostly about whether the enemy faction can deal with the wildmen.
yeah.
Like, if they have strong archers, if they have very easy access to cavalry, then Isengard suddenly doesn't feel that great. It feels like you're just kind of forced into suboptimal units, especially whenever you are forced to make walk riders. It never feels good, I think.
Yeah, true.
But then again, you know, if you get the game under control and you get some Rook Scouts massed, suddenly there's nothing anyone can do against you.
Yeah.
You see one hero and that's one volley from 4 or 5 buffed Rook Scouts and the hero's dead.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
It's like, that's crazy. Yes, I definitely think the Uruk Scout should be much weaker against the heroes.
You can, I mean, much weaker than they are right now, but like overall, you could make them a little bit stronger than like normal tier 1 archers against heroes. Like, why not?
Yeah, sure. But like, let's compare them to, for example, Lorien archers, about the same fort size and everything. Like, it just doesn't make sense. The Uruk Scouts are so much superior, I think.
Yeah, far more damage output, better hit chance, tougher.
Yeah, you rarely even want to get crossbows. Scouts are a lot of the time just better.
Actually,
even if you have the money.
Yeah, go on.
And also, actually, before we move forward, I think there's like very underused unit in Isengard is the Wildman Axe Throwers. At least I very rarely see them from anyone else except myself. I think they could and should be in a bigger role in Isengard's early game instead of, for example, the Uruk Scouts. And you should, and maybe could, just play much more heavier into the Wildman spam, and then, you know, actually have very clear transition into Uruks instead of like, you know, let's just spam a lot of Rook Scouts, get alerts, and then maybe upgrade the barracks if the game's not over.
I used to do 3 clan steadings on the Isengard. One of those, or like 2 of those, were level 2, so I was like getting 1 or 2 axe throwers. And then, like, it was feeling good enough, but I think you shouldn't be missing out on Uruk Scouts. They're too good currently.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Like, I don't think Uruk Scouts should be that good that you have no reason to not, you know, make them. You should have some options, as in, you know, maybe make axe throwers, especially like if you get wolf riders, I mean walk riders, and you have axe throwers, which are amazing against pikemen, and they should always be better against pikemen than Uruk Scouts. So, you know, you'd have a strong support unit for your walk rider spam, for example, and you just snipe the pikes with axemen, and then, you know, walk riders get to actually play the game. But, you know, right now you should just get scouts.
Also, I think because you mentioned crossbows, and sure, like crossbows are probably not worth getting, but I think Isengard is one of those few factions in the mode when it's like really beneficial, like to tech up, at least like later, because the aotr units are amazing and they are not that expensive. I mean, they're pretty cheap compared to other tier 2 units of other factions, and they have amazing stats. So yeah, you will generally win that mid game, late game, because you not only have quite strong heroes, very strong spellbook, but also you can actually use your tier 2 units, which is not always the case for other factions.
Yeah, and Isengard being one of the richest factions helps as well.
Yeah. Chip units, lot of eco, fucking very good stats on those chip units. I think one of the strongest things, actually, let's just go into spellbook. I think that Isengard has almost the perfect spellbook, and it's one of the most balanced spellbooks in the game because almost everything is viable. I cannot think about the one spell that is not viable in that spellbook. But like generally, I think the right side is still my favorite. Vision into industry, into Bidman army, and obviously into the Karadras. Especially Bidman army, I feel is so strong because in those quick games, when you don't really have that many units on the field, when you are not getting many heroes, when you are not taking up, you are suddenly getting tier 2 unit that comes out with heavy armor. I think this is such a strong point for Isengard near tier 3.
Yeah, I agree. Like, when I started playing Age of the Ring, I underestimated the power a lot. But then again, I didn't know that they come out with the heavy armor, for example, which is a little bit crazy in my opinion.
But like when they used to not
having
come
3
out with heavy
units.
armor, then it was pretty fucking useless.
Yeah, I can see that. But then again, you maybe could just increase the, spawning time, just get more units. But not sure if that's good solution as well. But then again, also I don't think that's the biggest problem the faction has. It's like the power tree is pretty balanced and pretty good overall. Like you can go any road as you said, and it's not bad. It's gonna be at least very decent.
Yeah.
But then again, also you mentioned that that's one of the few factions that actually can make the transitions, and that's true. I agree. But then again, you kind of just can spam and get every single hero in the game with just complete a full CP spam, and that's gonna work just as fine.
Yeah. The issue with Age of the Ring in general, like why the hub if you can like spam heroes and it will be fine. Just get Saruman.
Yeah, exactly. And Isengard is so rich that they can probably just do both as well.
Yeah. Abe is saying that Isengard should be S tier. As we mentioned before, like Isengard could be S tier, could be even B tier, but we decided to put it into A tier just because it could be in those like 2 points on the spectrum.
Yeah, because I think Isengard also has well, Abe wasn't here, but there's some matchups that are very strong. There's some matchups that are quite weak. So I think the variance is just too much for Isengard to be S tier.
Yeah, like for example, Gondor, I don't think you are like reliant on matchups at all. Like you can go with against any faction and you will be doing like fine. Meanwhile, Isengard, there are like many painful matchups. Let's say Lorien, or maybe Harad, Woodland Realm, even Rivendell. Like generally those factions focus on archers.
Yeah, definitely.
Why is it Gondor S tier? Oh my god, he's coming late and now he'll be asking about everything. Holy fuck. Gondor is not S tier because it's feeding a lot. I know Avehave you're winning games in 10 minutes and you don't get to experience feeding by Gondor, but yeah, this is how it works. Gondor feeds a lot. That's why not S tier.
Yeah, Avehave suffers from success. He doesn't actually know how the faction functions because all his games tend to end up too soon.
Yeah.
Be nice to Ave Concrete. I will fucking ban you.
I'm nice to have it. I like have it. Should we touch anything else on Isengard? I think it's fine. I mean, Dunland is useless, but that wasn't necessarily.
Yeah, like Doom Landings and Ragnar Lothbrok are just not even part of the discussion. I like making them in team games, they're fun, but then again, outside of that, they are just not present in 1v1s.
I mean, I think Ragnar is fine because A, hero spam, B, you have those crows which absolutely destroy heroes.
Yeah, but I was mainly meaning him as a gatekeeper hero for the down landings.
Oh, yeah.
Doom landings, whatever they are.
Yeah, this is Rohan. Mordor is B tier because of the problem with aggression early on. And general hero management later on. Like in short. Okay, shall we move on into Lorien? Unless you want to address
Sure.
something in chat. Lorien, one of the most hated factions in the mod, and I fully agree. I hate playing against Lorien. Do I like playing as Lorien? I'm not sure, I'm neutral. Anyway, Lorien is summoned in A tier. I'm not sure where. I think I would put it between Gondor and Isengard. Higher than Isengard, just because it's less dependable on the matchup.
I would maybe even put it in front of Gondor,
Oh my god, okay.
but well, that's then some of the faction, like for example, the Worn right now isn't really working because it's bugged. Can't really hit buildings, and it used to be such a game-ending power as a tier 2 already. Not trebuchet for sure, but almost.
Mhm.
And then in addition to that, you have the summon, which actually gives you the scavenger as well as a hero.
It
So
was very
there's
powerful
just
summon and it got buffed.
there's so strong options for tier 2s for Lorien, and they don't feed, and they are extremely good at defending if you play them well, because the stun on the trees is just huge. All the small maps, Lorien is gonna be much better economically because of the smaller farm spaces as well. And they have probably, I think, one of the best first 5 minutes, because you can rush your opponent so easily. You can get cavalry early on very easily. You can pretty much do anything you want. You can creep. You can play it safe and slow. You can get like a very economic heavy start as well, and you rarely get punished for it. I just don't think there's a lot of weaknesses in Lorien's gameplay early on, and then the power tree scales very well into the game. The heroes are, well, I think heroes are something very divisive, because some of them are very strong, some of them are kind of useless in my opinion. So it's, I don't know, it's hard to say. I feel also like with Lorien you don't really have any horrible matchups. Maybe Erebor.
Yeah, feels like
And
it.
maybe even Misty. But I don't know. It just feels such a solid faction, whereas Gondor has more obvious weaknesses, but also like Gondor's strengths are maybe a little bit more straightforward as well. So maybe it should be right where you put it. But I wonder if the Worn was not bugged, maybe it would be still stronger than Gondor. Maybe not.
Could be.
Hard to say.
So like, I think I agree almost on everything. I think Lorien suffers from identity crisis. It's supposed to be defensive factions, and it is a defensive faction with those trees, with archers with long range, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, you have one of the best aggressions early game out of all the factions, maybe even the best aggression. Okay, maybe like comparable with Misty Mountains. And so it feels very weird to play Lorien because, as you said, like you have everything in early on is very strong. Like you can do, excuse me, whatever you want. Like I could probably put Lorien above Gondor, but the reason I don't, I think Lorien fails like very hard in the mid game and late game. They basically don't have any units to support the mid and late game, and all the heavy lifting needs to be done by heroes. Sure, those heroes are mostly very strong, but sometimes those heroes are either not enough, or you simply need like better units to like hold your map control. This is why I would not put like Lorien above Gondor, because Gondor has very strong late game, like early game, mid game, late game, everything. Every stage of the game is strong for Gondor, in my opinion. Meanwhile, the Lorien suffers in that mid and late game, which is weird again, because it should be defensible faction, which means it should have stronger like mid and maybe late game.
Yeah, I actually agree a lot with what you said. They definitely like feels like the early game is much stronger for Lorien than the mid game. Late game maybe, when you get all the heroes, and there's like a lot of options for Lorien to take up, get those, I don't even know what the names are, but like very expensive elves.
Those very expensive elves are not worth it. Pikes are not worth it. Pathstalkers are kinda worth it. Galadrims are not worth it. Like, they are mediocre elite archer, mediocre swordsman. Galadrim, that is. Your elite cavalry is also very mediocre, and you have heroic units, which is also mediocre. I guess you have handmaidens, which are pretty good, and that's really it.
Yeah,
God, I hate Hitman days.
And then you have towers, all the upgrades on the trees, everything that basically, supports you playing defensively, but usually ends up being that there's like a forward tree with a well and a couple upgrades, and you just camp under it.
Yeah, they make the well be research upgradable faster. I think it's like 20 seconds instead of 40 seconds, so you can just put a tree on the front line and get to well extremely quickly. So stupid.
Daxon, we are live on Twitch. You can't say the N-word.
Aw, damn it.
Important. But yeah, Lorien overall, very strong early game, and yeah, does kind of fall off mid game, but has the same potential with the Gondor, I think. Like, you have very strong tier 2 options, which means that you can basically snipe the starting farms from the enemy quite easily, which usually have a potential to even end or win you the game.
Okay, it's getting very busy in here. Maybe we should move.
I will go soon because I have business to attend to. So
Yeah, but probably Daxon want to play with Tengu or something, right?
No, I don't want to play with Tengu. I
Yeah.
just want to hang out with you.
yikes! Who wants
Hey,
to
you're
play
not
with
playing.
Tengu?
You're not playing with Tengu. You're playing with Tupac lives in Serbia.
Okay, boys, let's move. I will
Honky
move
is
us,
screaming.
Poero.
Shut up, Tengu.
Alright.
Bye.
Okay. I think Date Zone is good enough. Yeah, are we done
Yeah.
with Lorien?
Yeah, sure. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's strong faction early on, suffers a little bit in the mid game, but usually it's strong enough to, finish the game early enough.
No.
But against other top tier factions, it might struggle, so I guess that's a fair placement.
Oh boy, the controversial one, I think. So last time I put Rivendell in the B tier, and I think I'm going to do it again, and I'm gonna put it above Mordor. Now I want to hear your opinion, how wrong I am, and why am I putting Rivendell above Mordor?
Wait, I haven't decided whether I'm going to argue about Rivendell being up and before Mordor, or Rivendell not being in the A tier.
Yeah.
Because I think both arguments kind of make sense.
Mm.
I think Rivendell could easily be A tier.
Could be.
Again.
Could be, yeah.
Could be, yes. But they have such a strong early game. I think very similar to Lorien. Actually, most of the gameplay with Rivendell plays almost the same as Lorien. I feel like you have very strong early game. Usually you start with vision, and then you can have either a very strong cavalry opener, or maybe even rangers, depending what your opponent is doing. And then you have excellent 2-tier tools. In PowerPoint you have Manwë and you have many meetings. Basically, again, with the vision you can just snipe a level 3 farm with the many meetings. Manwë can just wipe out the full army if enemy comes.
Yeah, tier 3
Extremely
for
strong
points.
options. And I think early game, Rivendell might actually be the best early game faction in the game. It is at least, arguable if you make good choices and good use of your units. Because you can also get every single type of unit you need from 2 buildings. But like Lorien, they suffer a lot in the mid game. I think they are basically like a discount Lorien with even weaker mid game than Lorien has. When
Rivendell.
Lorien has mid and weak options for mid game. I don't think Rivendell has any options for the mid game. You just gotta get heroes. There's nothing else.
Mhm. So yeah, right. Like strong early game, a lot of flexibility, but I think contrary to Lorien, Rivendell doesn't necessarily have like enough resources to like support this flexibility. If you lose like your one Archer Dunedain or your one Cav Dunedain, I think you're gonna be in the world of hurt. Like you need a lot of free space to actually breathe and use all those tools you have access to, because like hobbits are not enough. Hobbits lose to everything that is not a fucking orc. Those Biland pikes are 300, which is, I guess, pikes should be expensive, but maybe they're too expensive. And then you have Dunedain, they cost 500, they die to everything unless you weapon swap them. Then they will always die to archers anyway. This cavalry is obviously amazing. I think the cavalry is the best unit in the Rivendell roster, which is very weird because I don't think Rivendell should be brought cavalry. But generally, not also this that you have difficulties to support your like unit production and your versatility, but also the problem comes with your army composition, because what you would normally do, like one brilliant encampment and one Dunedain gathering, but it puts you in this awkward spot when you usually will make one pike and one Dunedain, dismounted Dunedain, and then basically you play with this control group, but it's control group of one pike and one archer, which feels very awkward. So sometimes you simply switch them to swords, the Dunedain. Suddenly your control groups cost like 900 resources only in early game. And if you wanna, for example, use hobbits, then there is some issue. If you wanna use hobbits, then you probably want to get maybe even free the brilliant encampments. But reality, that means you have to ditch the Dunedain gathering, and you cannot ditch Dunedain gathering because the units you get from there are too good. So it's the same issue I mentioned in 8.3.1. Rivendell has big issue with army composition, and I think it's even more enforced in this patch because bounders got nerfed and there is not really anything they can trade well with. So
yeah, I agree. And also the bounders, they are either the best unit in the game or the worst unit in the game, depending on the matchup. Like some factions just simply can't deal with them, and other factions just don't care about them at all. Like it's so easy to kill them.
Yeah, usually it comes with the cavalry access. If you have cav, then it's easy.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe archers even. And also that stealth or camouflage mechanic they have, absolute bullshit.
Yeah, absolute bullshit.
That in. Like, I don't know actually what's wrong with it. I think it's just the time. Like, if you stop to hit the building, there's no way the unit can stealth before hitting the building. That's so annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind if you run next to the building and stop and don't hit the building and then you eventually stealth. That's fine. But if you just use alt, like, basically make waypoints into hitting the building, and then they stealth before they hit the building, which means all the chasing units are gonna stop and drop the aggro from them. That's so annoying. Like, that's so awful to play against. But also, I think as a harassing unit, like, they might be a little bit too strong. Partly maybe because of the stealth mechanic. But then again, as a fighting unit, I think they are too weak. Like, they just can't fight against anything. They die to literally everything and anything.
Yeah, they die to anything. Like off stream, obviously, I already mentioned it like 3 times to you when my level 2 bounder lost to your level 1 Haradrim pike, the tribal one, like in 1v1. It was such a bullshit. Like fucking cheap pike beating only slightly cheaper swordsman. Like, what the fuck? So basically, you cannot rely on bounders because they get shut down by cavalry and they absolutely die to everything in melee. So then you have to rely on your brilliant pikes and the Dunedains, but those are extremely expensive. and still quite easy to kill. So yeah, I think that's the main issue. And
Yeah.
to be fair,
Rivendell can do very well with like the pike ranger combination, especially with Dunedain cavalry supporting them.
no.
But that's like everything they have. Then it's just heroes and hope for the best, basically. And well, strong power 3, of course.
I wonder if it's even that powerful, or is it simply right side is that powerful? Because you have many spells that are not that good. The weather, the twins. Oh, actually, maybe. Maybe no. Actually,
Oh yeah, I'm
It's pretty-
talking completely about the 3 spells on the right side. Like
oh yeah.
outside of Farsight, Many Meetings, and Manwe, there is not a single spell. Like if I could take those spells again, I would. I wouldn't take a single other spell, other than just refresh with 10 power points, just get another Manwe instead of anything else in that spell
Yeah.
tree.
Yeah.
But that's just how strong they are. Like those 3 spells alone are probably strongest. Like 5 power points into 2 10s. It's like the most strongest option that any faction has in this game, I think.
And Many Meetings got buffed for some reason, although it was already the meta pick, so I don't know what was the idea with that one. So
Yeah.
you mentioned weak mid game, and Secret is asking me about Grey Company. Did you use Grey Company at all?
I think I made it maybe once or twice, but I usually just they just blend into the army and you don't really see anything that they do. I do
Yeah.
remember trying to trample them when I started Age of the Ring, and they had bows out and my cavalry died. Didn't like that. Like 0 out of 10 experience. Would not recommend. Absolute bullshit. But they are kinda, I would say, underwhelming right now. They don't really leave any impact. At least that's how I feel. But then again, I really haven't seen them in 1v1s.
Yeah, I feel like Rivendell currently rarely have enough space to get the Grey Company, and there is no real reason to get the Grey Company. I feel like because sure they have good damage output from range, but Dunedain already have it anyway. I guess you would get them for that passive revenge damage, and that's really it. But like it's resources and time consuming to get it. I think it's better to just get Aragorn and get that juicy 33% damage leadership on your Dunedain.
Yeah, I think so too. Like literally any hero, just get them
Yeah, just get
instead
them.
of anything else. Yeah, just the Dunedains and the Breland Pikes and heroes and maybe Rams. That's all you need.
Yeah.
If
Easy,
that's not
cheap.
enough, you have lost anyway.
Yeah. Like, and I would rather get that the Revenues of Yavanna for eco buff rather than Grey Company. Get
That's
the
true.
Reverence of Yavanna, maybe get that the Rivendell Dormitory for Nordors, which by the way I don't think still are worth it, but I think it's issue in Age of the Ring in general that teching up is not worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Like Noldors, whenever I've tried them in team games or in 1v1, I'm never happy with them. Like every time, just get Elrond or Glorfindel if you actually have money to make anything.
Yeah. You guys haven't mentioned elves or levelers? We are just mentioning elves, not worth it.
Actually, I have very controversial opinion about Revelers.
Oh my god.
They actually might be good unit. But to be fair, I still haven't really tried them out that much. But I think I have done them in one PvP game, and that was the first time I actually read their abilities. And I was kinda, positively surprised. But there's one single thing that gates them from being a good unit, and it's the fact that they do not generate power points when they deal damage. Or well, when they use the ability to destroy buildings. I think if they did that, they might be even a too strong unit. But in order to get people to use it, I think that's exactly what should be done. Just let them generate power points from dealing damage, and suddenly they are actually usable unit part of the faction.
I don't believe that Everest would be viable. Not in this world. Not in this patch.
Oh well. Just gonna hope for the next one, I guess.
Yeah. What else about Rivendell? Yeah, Mordor's too expensive, yada yada. You have Veterans of Last Alliance, you're probably not getting those either because too time consuming, too expensive.
Yeah, there's no really proper path to go for them. And map control is so important in 1v1s, you just don't have time to do the tech up. You
Yeah.
just have to go heroes.
Also,
Actually, after all this discussion, do you still think Rivendell should be in front of Mordor? Like, that's actually funny. That's like extremely strong, very all-in early game faction against like complete opposite Mordor as a very weak early game faction.
no, I think I would still prefer like Rivendell to be higher than Mordor because of that versatility you actually have it in the early game, and the possibility to go on the offense. Like the only thing you need is some breathing room, like to get your expensive shit going, those pumping those Lunadines, and why not? So yeah, Rivendell I think should be higher than Mordor, but I think it should stay in that B tier.
Yeah, definitely. I think after this discussion, I feel B tier is the right place for Rivendell because the only reason I feel they might be A tier because they feel so strong early game, but after the early game they just literally don't have much.
Mm-hmm.
It dies out so fast, but the early game is extremely strong.
Mm.
And yeah, early game is stronger than late game, so I guess it does deserve to be in front of the Mordor as well.
Havok, elves aren't even that good without upgrades. That's another like thing with those Noldor elves. Like, they have similar stats to other elite units, but they are much more expensive. They're only really good when they get their upgrades. That realistically won't happen in 1v1.
Yeah, and also when you want to get upgrades, you're gonna build a forge. And wait, it's not level 2, you can't
Oh.
get upgrades. You buy banners, it's almost level 2. Your opponent kills it, you
Yeah.
build it again, and then you can't get even the banners anymore, and it's gonna be 50 minutes before it's level 2. Just get Elrond and Glorfindel.
Just get there on Gryffindor. Yeah. Get that eco from library. Shall we move on?
Yes, I think that's pretty much all there's to be discussed about that faction.
Erebor. Erebor almost deserves like its own tier, but I don't think there's much point of doing it because it would just like overbloat things unnecessarily. I think Erebor, from certain point of view, is fucking broken right now, and is very close from S tier, just like Gondor. But it's only A tier because in Age of the Ring the tunnel system is absolutely fucking pain to use. So top of the A tier.
So you wouldn't put it to S tier still?
Yeah, I would still not. I mean, I still think it's broken, but the tunnel system is too much of the pain, I think.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that's the one weakness the faction has.
Yeah, it's
I
the
think
only weakness.
I think it is still just a tier above Gondor.
Fuck
and
this shit.
everything else.
Let's go S tier. Like Adivasi was saying, Cap. I got you, Adivasi. Let's move that bad boy into S tier.
Yes, I definitely think it should be S tier because, like, let's say
You are
we
Erebor
just think
expert.
about-
Go on. Next hour is yours.
let's just talk about like Erebor against Gondor. Gondor, the best A tier faction.
Mhm.
I think that matchup is very close to unwinnable. Like, you are just gonna be 20 power points behind as
Mhm.
Gondor.
Mhm.
You're gonna be having worse tier 1 units, and you don't have any, strong options except archers. And then there's this crow hero that can summon cavalry behind your archers. There's going to be battle wagon that cannot be killed with even tier 4s. I think Erebor just has it all right now. It's just so strong. The early game units are the best like 1v1 units. Obviously, they are dwarves, they're very slow, they have weaknesses, but they have tunnel system to compensate for that.
Mhm.
Like, I think the biggest problem or the weakness of Erebor is that they cannot creep the troll with one single pike. If they could do that, I think we would need one more tier on top of the S tier. But they can't do it, kind of luckily. But
could choose it with a builder probably.
yeah, you can, but it's gonna take a lot of time, and it's not even then like surefire case.
Mm-hmm.
You got very lackluster power tree. That's like one of the relevant weaknesses of Erebor, I think. But like many other factions, there's like one very relevant PowerPoint path as well.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to take rebuild for it, but it doesn't really matter because you are gonna be winning the PowerPoint race anyway.
Yeah, way ahead.
And you know, you're gonna have economy boost. You're gonna get deep delving 10% on all tunnels. Then you're gonna get Moria Reclaimed, a power that can take all of your enemies' production buildings if protected by pikes.
Yeah. You don't
And
even have
that's gonna-
to. I mean, you kind of.
that
I
as
mean,
well.
they will kill cavalry, but you will waste a lot of time because they're getting trampled.
Yeah, very strong summon anyway, and that's gonna generate you even more power points. And because they are summoned temporary units, they are not gonna give any power points, so that's gonna skew the power point advantage even more. And you know, then you just got nice 7.5k at tier 4, unless you give it to your opponent, which you know
Twice.
happens. That might happen to somebody. I think it's solid enough. Like, it could be better, obviously, but it's good enough that you're winning by 10, 15, 20 power points. You should win the game with those powers. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, the crowd that summons the cavalry when, like, wherever and whenever you want, it also can give your guardians level 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, not straight up level 2, but basically level 2, because then when they kill literally anything after that, they're gonna level up if they are like 0 XP.
I'm pretty sure they get level 2 from that. Am I wrong?
Because I thought they get level 2, but I have seen that they don't always get full level 2
Weird.
from 0. So I'm not sure if there's any variance, like it doesn't share the experience, so I don't know how it works, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they get level 2, but then again, usually the unit has fought a little bit when I use it, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I was told that it doesn't get the full level if they don't have any experience.
Huh, okay.
So Solman is telling that if the bird is level 3, they won't get level 2. That makes sense. But if you have the level 5 bird, then they get the level 2, I suppose. Yeah, I think that actually matches my like experience with the bird.
That's explains.
Because I do remember that sometimes you don't get the level 2.
Yeah, because for some reason you have different level of experience rewards for that ability based on the level. Typical Age of the Ring thing.
Yeah, the bird is kind of weird. You have to pay for it to level up, and then it, gets level ups only that way. But that works pretty well because you just want to, most of the time, you just get double Paraxes, you spam White Sword. Maybe if there's a spam faction, you get the Grim Hammers that are absolutely busted, I think.
Grim Hammers.
Grim Hammers, right? That's the name.
Like which unit?
Yeah.
Anti-spam unit? Are you sure?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Grimhammer is busted. Okay.
Yes, they are way too strong against non-spam units.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a spam counter, they are kind of fine. They are pretty weak against archers. They have like clear-cut weakness. They die against cavalry as well, and they absolutely destroy spam, which is fine. But then, like against strong swordsmen, I think they do too well.
You know why?
And
Because
that
they
makes
have
them-
amazing slash armor, that's why. I think similar to
Yeah.
Guardians, they only have a little bit less HP.
Yes, and that leads to that. Even if you have like let's say Lamedon Clansmen on the tier 1 units, clumped up, hitting a tunnel, you just get out one of these bad boys and it's gonna kill them. They cost the same. But anti-spam unit is taking down like a regular, very strong infantry.
Nothing wrong
Maybe
with
I'm wrong
that.
with this. Maybe I'm wrong with this because they are still not fast enough to catch anything. But I don't know. It feels too like too overall strong unit, which is pretty much theme on dwarves. Like all the units, of course, are strong, but in addition to that, they don't really feed power points, which bring us to guardians, like the guardian phalanx spam. You can basically trade one sword pike to one farm, and I'm pretty sure you still are pretty okay with the PowerPoint gains, because they are gonna fight a little bit before they go down anyway. So you can just keep trading 600 worth of units for a 300 worth of farm, and you are gonna be, just bowling.
Yeah.
And then basically you just follow up it with a strong transition into battle wagons or to the Arak or any other heroes. Like Erebor late game is probably the strongest late game in the game as well. We are talking about Ironfoot, of course. You have like 75% armor hero with level 1. There's not much in the game that can challenge that.
This is your Tehap as Erebor, get King Dane.
Yeah, exactly. If you have money, and I think usually when you drop the dragon, you get 7.5k, you just get King Dane and, choose any other hero with him. Then group up with the army, finish the game. But of course, they are dwarves. They have the same weaknesses as, for example, 202 dwarves have. But as you mentioned early, the tunnel system is kind of buggy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, of course, mainly the game engine's fault. Not much, the mod can do about it. But something that 202 has, for example, done it just increases the dwarven speed when they enter or exit the tunnel, and it just makes it much more playable. And that kind of quality of life buff, could be compensated with feeding more power points, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even the stats of certain units, like just the basic spam, the Guardian Phalanx, could be decreased. So you would actually have to make transitions. But then again, as we have said many times, it's pretty prevalent problem with all the factions. Most of the time, it's just not worth it to go for transitions. You just spam tier 1 units, get heroes, win the game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works right now. And nothing wrong with that, but maybe that needs a little bit of a bump.
I mean, if you have mod with so many different units that are usually unlocked at the higher tier buildings, then you would think that it's very worth to Tehap and get those units, get upgrades. But no, the gameplay loop is resolved about it's about tier 1's units and heroes, because that's simple and cheap.
Yeah, I agree. But also there has been a lot of quality of life improvements as delay fix, stock fix, and things like that. And then also for me as well, 202 players have come and brought 202 game style, which is very aggressive and very tier 1 unit heavy. And,
basically good players came to the game.
Yeah, sure, you can say that as well, but I think the aggressive map control type of gameplay is just way to play when your farms basically rely on the amount of ground you control. And now you just need to react to that and bring the transitions a little bit closer and a little bit more possible. Whether it is nerfing tier 1 units or just making higher tier units cheaper, or maybe nerfing tier 2 powers so the games don't snowball that much. There's a lot of things you can do, and I'm sure they are gonna try something. I wonder what, but guess we'll see when the patch comes out.
Yeah, in 2 years.
It comes out when it comes out,
Yeah, when it's ready. So it'll be cool when the game is kinda balanced out, as balanced as it could. Then it could be fun if there was a big patch that solely focuses on upgrades and higher tech units. That would be great.
Yeah, I definitely think the tier units or tiering of units and upgrades as a whole could do some work. And that's mainly because the game is so fast-paced that you don't really, you don't access those parts of the game except if you play PvE. But Well, maybe PvP team games sometimes
Hmm.
might work, but 1v1, those are usually not things that you can or should even go for.
Okay, this is Perry is asking about Manish units. So I think one of the reasons you could go Oakenshield is because to get those Lake Town pikemen, like stats wise, they're one of the best early pikemen in the game, and they were very inexpensive, like 250. And now instead of like nerfing their stats to be actually closer to the spam unit, they increase the price. So they are kind of similar to Guardians, having good stats, but I mean not Guardians, Phalanx, but Phalanx is 300, while Lake Town is 275. Also, those Lake Town archers actually have worse damage output than the Erebor archers. So there is little reason to go for the Lake Town units. Obviously, the tier 2 guards of the master are very weird because they are basically barding swordsmen, but reskin on level 2 assembly. There's no point going for it. Yeah, you basically go Oakenshield currently because of the 2 archer heroes. So for example, when you're against Rivendell or maybe Lorien, let's say. When it comes to barding units in Ironfoot, well, there's an issue. They are faster than dwarves, but they are still not fast enough to catch most of the early game units because they are 50 speed, while most of the early game units are 55 speed. So they won't catch stuff, but at the same time, they are worse at the fighting than dwarves. So again, there is not much point of getting them. That's really it when it comes to Manish units.
They definitely can work, but at least for me, vast majority of cases, you almost always are better just going Guardian Phalanx. Like, there's not much point going them. I think the best argument going for them is if you are intending to get fully armored and filthy, and you get the heavy armor on those units. And I think heavy armor is usually more valuable upgrade for units than blades, which the Guardians get, for example. But then again, usually you just want to deal more building damage, so even in that case, Guardian Phalanx Ball is gonna be better if you're, maybe rushing down the fort even. But if you are going to be fighting a lot, and you can force the fights, because you can't chase the units anyway, then they could be good, but just go, Guardians and Phalanxes. No. There's no point doing anything else right now, I think. Especially, I'm not sure about the PowerPoint feeding of the Manish units. Don't use them that much, but I think it's a little bit worse than the Guardians and Phalanx have.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so you're also kind of just wasting your possible PowerPoint advantage as well.
Okay, Erebor Steer, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, but also as a 202 player, we have dwarves as well. Very similar playstyle. I just want to say that I don't think that I am actually one of the best dwarven players. I'm probably not even close. So I imagine if we get someone very extremely aggressive dwarven player to play Age of the Ring Erebor, I think it would be even more disgusting at some points.
I would
in some matchups.
Yeah, I would like to see it because currently I think you and Nosy are the only people who are capable of playing Erebor, and that's really it.
Shout out to Addy. I think Addy plays pretty decent Erebor as well. But I think Addy and Nosy both play quite defensive Erebor mainly, so I don't think they get everything out of it that they could.
They may play defensively, but I still think Erebor is the most aggressive faction of Nosy because he usually plays very on his side of the map, very defensively. Funnily enough.
Yeah, well, haven't actually seen Nosy play in a while, so it'd be nice to see the man again.
We spoke about dwarves, not about time to talk about their mortal enemies. Okay, so Misty Mountains. I cannot deny it's strong faction, but at the same time I don't like the faction, I don't like to play them, I don't like the visual aspects of it, but it's A tier. I think it's between Lorien and Gondor. Or do you think it's even higher than Gondor, or do you think it's S tier?
Mm,
Okay, this is a
That's-
difficult one.
That's a difficult one, yes.
Yeah, it is a difficult one.
I think Misty
Hmm.
also. I'm not sure if suffers is the right word, but it gained a lot from a different playstyle that, you know, for example, 202 players brought in, and also again like Startfix. They just having spam units, especially as fast as creatures, poison blades, everything like that. You just can stack up so nicely into everything. But also because that's such a new playstyle to most of the Age of the Ring players, I think there's a lot of problems like players not knowing how to play against it. So I think it feels stronger than it actually is in a lot of the cases. But also I think it is very, very strong faction right now. And it's possible it should be S tier. I wouldn't mind it being there. I maybe would be more comfortable with S tier, and at the minimum, I think it should be on top of the A tier.
I'm willing to make that concession above Gondor. It hurts my soul, but it is what it is. Yeah. So you start game against Misty and you already have to gamble. Is he going Snowworks or if he going Goblins? If he is going Goblins, then you need to go Cavalry like straight away. If he is not going Goblins, then he's going Mountain Orcs, and then if you go Cavalry, then you are fucked by Mountain Orcs. But if you don't go Cavalry, then you are being fucked by the Goblins, and that's the first issue. Second issue, even let's say if you gambit correctly and you went with cavalry against goblins, if you make one single mistake and let's say you lose your first cav battalion, it's basically over because you won't have enough cavalry to stop ghost goblins. So that is the first issue. Second issue is bunch of discoveries that two players made. So for example, the Great Goblin, which is absolutely busted. The changes to spellbook that was made, they are coming, is pretty strong right now with that fucking troll. Obviously trolls need some fucking skill against pikes because it's unbelievable. And then you have that werewolf, which feels like a relic from the 201 version because it deals a lot of building damage, and although it is very unreliable when it comes to targeting. So yeah, so you basically have very strong opening, and then you have very clear like path in the spellbook, which is also very strong, and it ends with Barlock, which is also strong. So.
Yeah, I agree pretty much with everything you said, and I think the PowerPoint path might be the strongest in game. You just got everything, and I don't even mind. You can start with Fellwind, you can start with the land buff. Like either one works depending which faction you're playing against. And I think lately, especially like we have been playing a lot of 2v2s, and in them the map is much smaller, so you know there's less time for the Misty most of the times, and they do suffer a lot against like massed cavalry, even if the goblins are pretty good against like, let's say, single battalion of cavalry. You need to be very careful. You so easily might just lose them. But especially as you know, you have had to play against that certain style of Misty a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
You have adopted very well, and you know you need to mass the cavalry. And once you get it massed, like the goblins are like Misty's in trouble. Like it's so hard to deal with them, even if you have like regular pikes, which 2-1 goblins don't have. But then you have the Great Goblin.
Yeah.
Like one single trample and the Great Goblin one-shots half the cav.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be GG. It's gonna gain levels. Well, my Great Goblin is gonna kill himself with the treasure, but you know, someone else's might win the game.
Shout out to Soman for actually using Great Goblin because he was the Great Goblin connoisseur long before you came to game Poero to Age of the Ring. So
Oh, nice. I just made him because he sounds funny. But, you know, getting a cave troll hero into tunnel, surprisingly quite good.
Yeah, he is basically a troll. He has the same armor set Rogash or other Morok uses.
He's very tanky most of the time. Well, sometimes he just dies instantly. If he takes a lot of archers, for example.
Mhm.
But, you know, usually it's just gonna be a lot of cavalry, and against them the Great Goblin is basically immortal. There's just no way any amount of cavalry is gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And also his, you know, abilities are pretty strong. You get pillaging versions of goblins basically, which is very strong. And you know, you just have a lot of power in power 3, and all you have to do is not lose the game before you hit your tier 2.
Mhm.
And then you basically just snowball the game. And that's not even to mention, like, there's a lot of tricks that the goblins or Misty can use. Like, for example, creeping the troll with the early screeches. You just need 3 battalions and you can basically take a troll there, take the money, and then leash the troll into your enemy base.
Mhm.
Especially if you are considering or being afraid that there's a cavalry start, then that's just perfect to counter it. You just take the money, take the troll into the base, and there's nothing they can do against it.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose at least 1 farm.
Or stables, or almost lose stables. Depends.
Yeah, might happen as well. That's just a very strong start because, as you said, your enemy has to gamble which start you're going for because the creatures are not the only viable start, but I think it is a much superior start, but it helps that you have like option if you want. Then cave trolls. I think cave trolls are pretty fine. They are not too strong, they are not too weak right now. And they produce so slowly that you can't even mass them in a way that would make them broken. Like I think Mordor can do, but then again Mordor doesn't have the early game potential that Misty has.
Mm.
And then you have the giant bat, which I think actually is goat of the faction. Like it saves them so much pain, especially against the cavalry spam.
Mhm.
The giant bat can do so much work, and not that you just get the bat, you can get easy road to the stone trolls, which are busted unit. I think like without stone trolls, Misty wouldn't be nearly as good faction because they would lack like a way to finish the games. But
Yeah.
because of the stone trolls, and I'm not actually sure if it's a bug or a feature or both, but you know when troll goes into the depth throws, like
Yeah, it is damage.
it's
around.
basically zero HP and start hitting things around it.
Yeah, knockback.
If
plus
you didn't
damage.
know, the stone troll can walk to the fortress, activate the level 2 ability, and if you kill it and it goes to the dead animation that it starts flailing around, it's gonna destroy half the fort with the flailing.
I wonder if the gauntlet upgrades for damage also increase the damage done by that death dying animation.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a
That
good.
would be a bit funny. But if you know, that's even if you kill it. If you don't, it's gonna hit the fortress 8 times with level 2 ability and the fort is gonna go down.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the real number with level 2 is 10 hits. Which is
That
crazy.
many.
Like, yeah, that's gonna be 10 hits from one level 2 troll.
Mhm.
And well, you know, if you have 2 of them, how long it's gonna take to hit the fort 5 times?
Mhm.
Maybe 7 seconds, 8 seconds.
Nah, something around those lines.
And you know, even if you kill them, and if they happen to go to the death animation, they're gonna take the fort down anyways.
Mhm.
Because they're actually hitting much faster when they thrash around. They hit like a couple times a second.
Fucking
We,
burst.
like, if you know anybody is not getting what I'm saying, that unit is absolutely stupid ass against Fortress. I think otherwise they actually might be fine.
Are they though? I think the same issue as there is with any throw, they are killing Pike too easily.
Yeah, probably. But you know, they are very late game units. I don't mind their performance against armies, but like it's such a glaring huge problem against fortress. Like you just can't have unit one shot a fortress. That's not okay. And it costs only 1k, and once you start getting them, there's no stopping them. There's just nothing that
Costing
can
less
save the
than the
fortress at
giant.
that point. Oh yeah, giants. That's, one of the units at Misty, should never do. They are way too expensive. You can only get a couple of them unless you get some upgrade from the fortress, and they are definitely not good enough to make ever.
So I think Misty can be again in the rough spot after X gets nerfed, because I think the features that are overperforming will be toned down, and then like people will realize that there are not that many great things about Misty outside of Goblin Spam, Great Goblin, and Stone Trolls and Snow Trolls. Because like for example late game, like Misty basically doesn't have any late game outside of those Stone Trolls and Snow Trolls. Like Gundabad Berserker suck, the Bog's Bodyguard are only good against heroes, like Worms are too expensive. Your faction leader is absolute dogshit. He basically makes Witch King
Great
looks
Goblin is
like
good.
S tier. Yeah. If you consider Great Goblin faction leader, then it's fucking S tier. But
There's no one else.
yeah. Borg, never heard of him.
I think I have made him once, and that one time was enough. Never made him again.
Yeah, like fucking King Tane and Galadriel is less expensive than Borg. What the fuck?
Well, if Polk did same as Dane but gave 75% damage level 1,
Oh
suddenly
yeah.
dude is good.
Yeah, I
But,
think that would be
I
balanced.
mean-
They should make it.
Yeah, but it doesn't do that for some reason. But yeah, I think like your late game options, it's Great Goblin, Stone Trolls, and those are probably maybe getting nerfed.
Yeah.
Don't touch Great Goblin. You can nerf Stone Trolls, that I don't mind. They are just too broken. But then suddenly, also I think the powers might be getting touched as well. Like they are coming is a bit too strong, I think.
Mhm.
Like the troll is stronger than a cave troll, and I think if you just make it regular cave troll stats with 3, I think that suddenly it's fine.
Yeah.
But right now it's much stronger for some reason, so I think that's the problem with that. And then the worm, I think, especially if they ever bug fix it, it's probably the best tier 3 in the game.
Yeah, like Misty Mountains has many relics of like base Rise of the Witch King game. Like Goblins get extra range from poison blades. You have Werewolf, which is dealing crazy damage to buildings. Probably still from vanilla. You even have that Drake from Frost Horde on Erebor, which also deals crazy amount of damage. It's basically a vanilla Drake, right? What else there is?
Yeah, but that has very wonky targeting as well. But yeah, I think, as you said, once and when they fix some of these outliers in Misty, I think they are gonna struggle a lot. Like, suddenly, we are talking about if it's S tier or top of A tier, but once they lose some power in the power tree, maybe heroes, Stone Trolls, like finishing the game, power, maybe Screechers with Poison Blades should be done something about them, but that's gonna hit them hard. And it should be done something to compensate. Like, all of those things are too strong right now, but that's all they have also.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah. So the other options, like, we haven't talked about the cavalry at all.
What
Walkbacks
cavalry?
and, exactly.
They don't
Like
have
the cavalry options, yeah, pretty much never done. Other heroes as well, I think they are kind of fine. Some of them even very strong.
Yeah, I think the heroes are strong. Like everyone outside of the bulk is strong.
Yeah, the hero squad is very strong. So, maybe they have to lean on that a little bit more. Maybe actually make like an, real army composition, not just creatures. Have some pikes, maybe a couple archers, and then a lot of heroes,
Also-
and play like a regular faction.
Also, Misty doesn't have archers. Your fucking archers are snow trolls. That's really it. Like goblin archers suck. Their targeting is abysmal. Probably they have too low of the range. Actually, Corsairs have better range than the goblin archers, by the way. with their fire bombs. And
Maybe Goblin Archers would need some love, especially if Screechers get nerfed. It makes sense to have actually, an Archer unit to play the game.
Snow Orc Archers are tier 2 for some reason. I mean, they have decent stats, but if you are going Snow Orcs, then you basically need a third lodge just to make those archers, and you need to level that to level 2.
Actually, could be, if you had those archers on level 1 from the lodge, you actually have a kind of regular and normal army composition from one building already.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Snow Trolls as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the units that's... I'm just gonna say they are way too strong. They are just overpowered right now. They are way too good. But, they have pretty obvious weakness as well. But if you ever get them masked, I don't think there's nothing anyone can really do against them. It's full on Rohirrim Archer levels bullshit.
Do they really have a weakness? Like Archer heroes, I guess. Not every faction has that. Like cavalry, but you can cover them with pikes.
Yeah, that's they are good against spam units. They're good against elite units. They're good against heroes. Only thing that they are not good against is cavalry. Like they deal damage to buildings as well, and that's just not enough.
Like
there has to be something that they can't deal with other than just cavalry.
last time they touched them, they changed the scalar against the elite units by like 5%. That's like nothing.
Yeah, I think maybe well, I actually don't have opinion about them. I don't really like them as a unit. Well, mainly because they're just too, what's the word?
Wonky.
They do everything.
Oh, okay.
But you can't deal with spam units and elite units with one single range unit. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like maybe take the splash down. They also they have the melee mode, right?
Yes, they do with like knockback.
Yeah, you could make the splash on melee, and so they kind of deal with the spam units with melee mode. But then range mode would be just countering elite units and heroes. Or keep them anti-spam unit and take away the ability to one-shot heroes. Or, anything. It's just not. It's such a weird unit. Also, I quite like it, the idea of it. But right now, I don't think it just functions as it should.
Yeah, it was basically Rohirrim Archers beta, and then Rohirrim Archers came in, and they're basically like snapshots.
Yeah. And then there's the Worm and Winter Drake. You said already the Worm is just too expensive.
It is too expensive.
Yeah, I agree. Again, same problem as most factions, just the transitions are not worth it.
But I don't mind Drake being too expensive. Let the faction have something extremely expensive, but make your normal elite units viable to get, but maybe leave Drake as expensive as it is, because you're not gonna get that much money in 1v1s anyway to get it.
Yeah, actually I don't mind, it can be expensive, but you have two ways of solving the problem. Either it needs to be less expensive, or if you want to keep the expenses, then it needs to be stronger to justify said expense.
Yeah, I don't mind leaving it as is. It's not necessarily viable. Basically a single player unit. Some units are single player units in this mod because it is a single player mod. So Hasharins, let's say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hasharin, the Uruk-hai Sappers, and so on and so forth.
Is there anything about Misty you want to talk more? I think we pretty much covered all of it.
Yeah, let's move on. Actually, is there anything? Nah, okay. Harat. You would think that faction without early cavalry would be not that good, but it's pretty fucking good. I put it in A tier, but I have no idea where to put it in the A tier. Maybe it is the worst of the A tier. What do you think?
Possible. I started valuing Harad quite lately.
Mhm.
Like I think at the end of the league, I actually started picking Harad over Mordor. And yeah, I think it's pretty solid faction.
Mhm.
It has a lot of cool things.
Mhm.
Like the basic tribal spam is good enough, and you
Mhm.
beat like most like regular spams with that. And then you have pretty good options to go for. You can get, well, my go-to usually is just get scorpions because they are kind of busted.
Mhm.
They are not that great against units, but you know, just hit farm, go to next farm, hit that farm, go to next farm, hit that farm. Oh, your scorpion is level 3, it solos the fort.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, kind of nice gameplay.
Probably level 5 Scorpion could solo afford because they get extra armor against structures.
Yeah, maybe. I know at least 2 scorpions. If one of them is level 3, definitely takes the fort. Like, it's not even close.
Mhm.
1 scorpion, probably not.
Okay. So, as you said, generally very strong faction, like tribals are good enough, I would even say they are good. Then you have Mahouts, which after Aldo's nerf are still very good. Like the damage output is ridiculous when you give them a horn, they are basically unstoppable machines unless you have cavalry. Like if you are facing faction without like cavalry on the faction that somehow can fend them off, the Mahouts, then it's basically GG. Corsairs, I wish the Corsairs were more viable, but I think they are kind of okay. But at the same time, they're like no matchup that you could go Corsairs maybe against Misty Mountains. The only issue with Harad is that cavalry, you need it at level 2, and when you finally get that level 2, the Haronder outpost, then you find out that cavalry is not really worth its price. It's probably one of the worst cavalry in the game, even despite the buffs. And unfortunately or fortunately, the guards of the serpent have been gated even harder. So you basically gonna use those Harondor outriders or raiders. I think Harondor raiders for the most of the game, if not for the whole game, and they are not that good. And I think that's really the issue with Harad currently, that cavalry they have to use. Other than that, yeah, like overall strong heroes. You have that golden pavilion with scorpions. Scorpions are pretty good. You have bird. A cheap flyer is always welcome, and it's actually very strong because and forces your opponent to go with archers everywhere wherever they want to push, otherwise they get fucked by that bird. Uh, Also quite solid mid game and late game. Black Numenorians I think are worth the price despite costing 700 just because they get that juicy 33 from Casamir at level 1. Yeah, I think funny enough, I think the weakest point of Harad maybe the spellbook. Like there is not that many great powers in there. Like right side, the tier 1 tower, the tribal summoning thing, tier 2 is not that great. The weather is probably one of the worst together with the Rivendell weather. Mm, I'm not getting a lot of value from chariots. The march to war isn't that great either, I think. Yeah. What else? Yeah, like the short sum up, I guess. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Lord. The bird is amazing, especially in addition to scorpions. Like, this bird has huge recruiting time. I think it's like 45 seconds,
Yeah, it
maybe
is
even a
huge.
minute. Like, it's very long, but the bird is also like extremely strong. So I think it's justified because, as you said, you just can't harass Harad anymore if you don't have archers with your units when the bird's out. Especially like cavalry just can't do anything anymore because there's a bird. And even in like army fights, sending the bird to hit something and your opponent has to focus it because it's still a flyer and it deals quite nice splash damage with poison. It's very solid unit for 300, like 325, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 375 I think. Or 400.
Oh yeah, true. 375 maybe.
Yeah, it's cheap, it's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap enough anyways. And yeah, the faction has a lot of like potential. Like as you said, Corsairs. they are very close to being strong option. Like sometimes they are amazing. Like against Misty, yes, you should go them. They can kill endless amount of goblins with fire bombs because they can throw them on top of themselves basically. But even with pillage, for some reason I just don't end up going them, like basically ever. But I think they should be strong. But I guess you just get then trapped into the very weak, like tribal spearman cause spam.
Yeah.
Which it loses to archers, and then after your opponent makes a counter push, you have nothing to fight back with. So I guess they are a little bit of a trap right now because how expensive the Corsair place is to get, I think. Because you're just locked into that and you can't make transition probably. So you either win with that or you don't win at all.
Yeah, so if you wanna make Corsairs, just make Mahouts. They are similar but better.
Yeah, that's a good point as well because Mahouts are kinda amazing.
Still, after those nerfs.
Yeah, but actually I think they are in a pretty good spot right now. Like they are strong unit, but I don't think they are like over the top strong anymore.
They're no longer broken.
Yeah, I'm pretty like satisfied how on their spot right now. Like I don't have any complaints about them.
Yeah, or you can go like triple Haronder Outpost, get 1 to level 2 to get cavalry, or just go for that golden pavilion. And I think just tribal spam is the golden standard because you can transition into something more easily, or just get heroes.
I personally like tribal spam a lot, but you have options, which is always nice, and they actually are very like relevant options. Like maybe Corsairs need a little bit something, but then again, I don't want them to become the like go-to strategy for the faction because they are very frustrating to play against. So overall, I think very solid, very good. Not much to change there. Then late game options, as you said, there's the
Black Lorien with
Loriens.
Kasamir.
Yeah, that's strong. And actually, as you said, one of the transitions that's probably worth it. But then again, you have also amazing archers in the Haronder Palace. But getting to level 3 to get those archers, very expensive, very slow, and usually you end up in a situation where you have like elite archers, but at that point of the game, you actually kind of need and want something to destroy the buildings. So usually you should, just get the Scorpions, they take the fort down if your opponent is not looking for 5 seconds. Biggest problem for the faction, I think, is the upgrade system.
Yeah, fuck caravans.
Yeah, the caravans, again, I like the idea a lot.
Yeah,
Like
I like it as well.
Stage you well caravan is great. I like it. I actually never do it, but I still like it. But the upgrading caravan is just not worth it. You never get it to level 2 or 3 unless you invest heavily into it early on because it's like 600 to get.
Yeah.
Then you need to keep it safe. And usually at that point when you have money enough to get it, you don't have a spot for it anymore.
Yeah,
so you have to send it into a very dangerous position. And you are going to lose it or you are going to win the game before it's level 2 anyway. Just that.
And when you finally get it to the level necessary to get upgrades, then you need to get another caravan just to put it in front of your barracks so you can upgrade your units, because otherwise you have to send every unit to that caravan.
Yeah, it's just annoying.
It's pain and suffering.
Yeah, like I think it's something that can be fixed like quite easily actually. Like for example, like I always love to just give everything upgrade cost, like pay 1k and it's level 2, that's it. It's fixed. Like that's what you need, but that's not necessarily what you have to do. Like there are other ways, but the main point is just do something about it. Heroes, I think the hero squad is pretty solid overall.
Yeah, pretty strong.
Yeah, good options, and Carol level 3 AoE may be too strong, but then again I think the hero as it is possibly a little weak even. Because, you know, if any power wipes out your army, the dude is so slow that he's dead for
Yeah.
certain. Like, he's just instantly dead.
I know. It's...
You said you don't like the power 3, or sorry, were you saying about something about Carol?
Yeah, I was saying that it's kind of toxic hero because he either goes into your army and nukes it with level 3, or he does nothing and dies because he's slow. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. But you were saying that you really don't like the power 3, right?
I mean, realistically, like, what can you do? Like, dry spell into summon, into weather, into tier 4s, and like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they have like 2 valid PowerPoint paths, which one of them is dry spell into summon, and summon is great. You can get
Yeah,
like,
summon
if
is good.
your opponent doesn't defend, you can get all the 3 starting farms with the pikes.
Yeah.
But you know, you have to use the dry spell, but that's something that, you know, players probably don't use enough. You can just send your builder forward and dry spell with that before there are any units out. And I think that is going to be quite strong actually when once like players start doing that. But also the other PowerPoint path, weather is absolutely bullshit, by the way. I agree, like it's probably one of the weakest weathers. I don't really see point of picking it ever. But the other PowerPoint 3 going on into the March to War, right?
Yeah,
the
March to
global buff.
Mhm.
I kind of like it, like especially if you go heavy into Warlord spam, you just get tribals everywhere, and you have like one more buff that just applies to every single unit. I like it, it's kind of strong. And also in team games, amazing, it affects your allies as well. Maybe
Yeah, that's
two
true.
there.
That's strong.
And then, you know, you don't really have the cavalry, so sometimes the chariots, like if you see your opponent playing Harad and he goes for March to War, you know there's going to be chariots.
Mhm.
And even if Harad doesn't get scorpions or cavalry, you have to get pikes because the chariots are just gonna wipe your whole army unless you do that. And you know, that's one of those high variance powers, which you know cavalry summons should be.
Mhm.
It either does huge damage or it's kind of useless.
Mhm.
And then I think both tier 4s are kind of good.
Yeah, they're good. I think they're fine.
Like Black Matriarch is maybe even too good. Like probably not too good, but it is
Comparative
very
Balrog.
like. Yeah, but Balrog is and should be the strongest 25 in the game always, I think.
Oh,
Like it's
because
too
it's
iconic.
Balrog.
Yes, exactly. Like just because of the lore, I don't care about the balance in that case. Balrog should be always the strongest 25 power. But you know, that's just my opinion about it. But Matriarch is quite close. Like he destroys the whole base. He generates a lot of power points while doing it. Just, you know, strong option. So I kind of like the power 3 as well. Well, maybe there's one exception. There's this one tier 1 power. That's that's the tower. And
I heard
I
it's
don't
pretty
like
good.
it. Yeah, I've heard, you know, some people and players have been saying it's good. I've been trying it out every now and then, and you know, it's funny. It's fun to use. I give you that. Like, I like using it, but it's not good. Like, there's no way that power is good power. So I think it, you know, maybe requires some tweaking, but you know, whatever faction can have one beam power, I don't mind.
Yeah, why not? The problem is it goes into another meme power.
Yeah, true. The
the
camp, right?
Yeah, the tribal camp or whatever it's called.
Yeah, maybe I should try and use it more, but you know, tier 2 that summons 2 units, like 2 tier 1 units.
Or 1 elite after you buy upgrade. Not great.
Yeah, it's not great. Like compared to with any other tier 2 power, it's just not good.
With Trebuchet, with Industry.
Yeah, they are coming.
They're coming.
Anything. It just can't compare. But also those powers, especially like they are coming Trebuchet, they are a little too strong right now. So you know, maybe. But also, like, one of the strengths and weaknesses of permanent units, they feed power points. And especially with units like tribal units, I think it's a very relevant concern. Like sometimes you just prefer, for example, the pike summon is great because you just don't care about them. You just run them in,
Yeah.
try to deal as much damage as you can. Doesn't matter what they or when they die. But when you get permanent units, you actually have to, use them like a real units.
To put some thought into using them.
Yeah, can't just drop it anywhere.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Woodland Realm. How the mighty have fallen, once an S tier faction. Now I put it into the C tier above Rohan. What do you think?
Above Rohan?
Above Rohan. Do you think it's lower than Rohan?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I think it's an excellent question.
Look, I
But
think
if,
I put it into C tier only because it's not as annoying as playing as Rohan, because you can just put normal barracks and make normal units out of them. That's really it. How is Woodland Realm not F tier? Ask how
yeah, I understand our, but I don't know. If we are talking 1v1 strictly, I think it's lower than Rohan. Because, peasants into cavalry is still very solid and strong, way to play the game.
Yeah.
But Woodland Realm doesn't really have that. You have, well, kind of strong tier 1 units for harassing, yes.
Mhm.
But you have to get pikes. And in order to get the pikes, you need the level 2. And
Yeah.
that basically stops your whole early aggression for a while.
Yeah.
You have woodsmen, but then again you have the pike problem. I don't know. I think it has just too many fundamental problems to be in front of Rohan.
By the time you get your pike, your opponent is probably already creeping with his pike, and he's already merging his pike with his swordsman and then pushing your base. So it's basically like what, 2 units versus 1. When you get that level 2 Sylvan clearing, then you are obviously gonna be making pikes out of it because you need pikes. But you also need cavalry, so then you have to build a third Sylvan clearing just to get cavalry, and it's very time consuming, very expensive. And when it comes to Woodland Realm units, Sylvans, sure, they can harass pretty well, but they die like fucking flies. And the problem is the discount for the shrine has been changed. And now Woodland Realm is in this weird issue where they either have to spam shrines permanently to get mount discounts or Sylvans to make them cost efficient, or you kinda have to transition early on by building vineyards, but then your early game units, your staple of the faction, is not cost efficient, and you are kinda having issue with this. So you are either stuck permanently or tier 1 Sylvans, or you kinda shooting yourself in the foot by hoping that early game Greenwoods will work, but usually nobody does that. You just stick with Sylvans because they're your tier 1s. Also, as you mentioned, you have those Beorings, the Woodsmen. I think they are generally very weird unit in that faction because you already have basic buildings, basic barracks, and you get every type of unit out of it. And then you have even extra building from which you get some swordsman archer hybrids. And they don't really fit into the faction because your Sylvans are fast, your Woodsmen are slow, and then you have to cover the Woodsmen with your pikes. As you mentioned, those pikes are not that great, so there is an issue. And you probably need the 1 Woodsman and 2 Sylvan clearings anyway, just to get some cavalry, because otherwise your opponent can just spam swords and cavalry and archers, and it's not really fun experience for the player. Yeah, as I mentioned before, you're basically stuck with tier 1 units because you have to spam shrines to make your Sylvans cost efficient, which is a shame because I think Greenwood units are one of the best elite units in the game. They have similar stats to Noldor's, but they're not worth the price when they are not discounted. And there is another issue, you have to level up the Sylvan clearing to level 2 to get your pikes, but then you have to do the same thing with your fucking Greenwood barracks. And then that pike without any discount costs 800. That's not really worth it. Even with max discount, I feel like 640. I still don't think it's that really worth it. So, also cavalry. Again, you need level 2 silver clearing, probably like dedicated silver clearing to just making horse archers. If you are against some faction that relies heavily on spam or on archers, let's say. And then you have issue because your next cavalry unit is at level 3 Gnut barracks and it takes a lot of resources and time to get that Gnut barracks. And again, that cavalry unit is quite expensive. It's 1,000 without discount, although it's kinda worth it. Like, I think 1,000 for Sindar nobles is alright. And then I don't think the Woodland Realm heroes are okay. Maybe I should shut up and let you talk about what I said, unless you don't want to comment.
No, I think go ahead, like continue with the heroes, because everything you said is, I agree with all. That's just, I think it boils down. You need level 2 barracks to get cavalry or the pikes, and you probably need both at some point. But then again, the cavalry is horse archers, and usually, cavalry is gonna go and harass the farms when they can't trample things. But that's not gonna be an option for the cavalry archers, so they are just gonna be basically useless unless you take like fights, which is something that as a fast faction you don't want to do. So I think the horse archers are mainly a trap in a 1v1 especially. Like you get unit that can't deal damage to economy, and that's gonna be very like high cost and high time, high time consuming, like because you have to upgrade building, and whenever you are making those cavalry, you are not making pikes. And because the pikes are so weak, you just have to spam them all game, and even then they are not enough.
Heroes are not that great. You have Taroyed, which was one of the best heroes in the game, and currently, like, he's extremely squishy. I don't think she has enough damage output, like, to actually justify getting her. And then you have Eren, which I don't think he has enough like map presence. Like, he has mediocre summon. Like, you need to be high level to actually get a good summon. And he's slow for some reason for being early game Elven hero, although he's tough. And you have Galleon, which is basically a fucking support. He has heal and some damage buff. Then you have Radagast, which is also kinda like in the weird spot because he's buffing Woodsman, but he's also kinda okay without Woodsman. Then there's Gribion, who is locked, and then obviously you have like two very good heroes, which is Legolas and Thranduil, although Legolas is very squishy. So I don't think you have that many good early hero options for Woodland Realm, which is quite a big issue for a game which is focused around heroes and tier 1 units.
Yeah, I think the hero squad, once you get it, especially the more expensive heroes, they are like pretty okay. Not as solid as some other factions have, but I think good enough. Like, there's not like huge problems with them.
Yeah, I think if they are together, they're alright, but like singular heroes are not that great.
Yeah, they are usually not enough, but I think that revolves more around the fact that you just can't take fights ever in the game, because you have 2 row pikemen that die to anything, and once those pikemen die, all your expensive or, well, even if you are just tier 1 units, cheap spam, all those units are just gonna die instantly to cavalry.
Yeah.
And then one of the biggest problems on a faction right now, addition to pikes and lacking of real cavalry, and when I say lacking real cavalry, I mean like cavalry that cannot deal damage to buildings is not cavalry at all. But they are also very lacking in PowerPoint departments on tier 2s, and right now, as we have said many times, the game revolves a lot all around having huge power spikes on tier 2 powers.
Yeah.
And I think the strongest power on Woodland Realm is basically a horn on tier 2.
Yeah, I find myself often picking R3 tier 1s as Woodland Realm just because like tier 2s are not really worth it. Like you don't have good option. Like the best option is the Elven King Feast, which is like slightly better horn, but it's tier 2.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, you can move it around, but it's basically just a horn. Are they saying, are those horse archers good DPS at least? I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm not pretty sure, but I have intuition that they deal about the same or even less damage than the regular archers, right? Like the Woodland Realm tier 1 archers.
I actually don't remember stats of the horse archers, but I imagine they did less.
Yeah, probably. But you know, sometimes when you mass them, they are kind of good, but you know, they just suffer then from the fact that then you don't have anything to destroy buildings.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so I think that's the biggest problem. Like maybe if they had like a toggle, give
Mm.
them like weak melee attack, so they can at least pretend to harass buildings every now and then. Maybe that could help a lot. I don't know. But biggest problem, your tier 1 units don't really work that well together.
Mhm.
No pikes, no real cavalry. Woodsmen, kinda good, but again, then you have no pikes and you have even less chances of making anything else than, just pike sword spam. Heroes not strong enough to carry the weak tier 1 units. And then to top it all, you don't have tier 2 power to everything just falls flat.
Yeah.
But then again, I can see how the faction was very strong in the past because of very strong and fast units.
Mhm.
It's one of those things like I think Misty's in a position right now that they
Yeah.
actually feel very strong because they are very hard to stop.
Mhm.
And Woodland Realm could easily get back into that position that, if you can't deal with the pike sword, then what can you do? Like,
Yeah, there's
you have the
nothing to
fastest
do.
units dealing a lot of damage and destroying every single building you have.
Mhm.
So, that's tough break, but right now they are definitely on the lower side of the factions.
Like they already, even when they were absolutely broken, they still had some issues sometimes, like fighting those big battles in like mid game or late early game, when they simply didn't have enough like leaderships and stuff to buff the units. Like you had Elven King Feast, which was pretty good, but that was realistically only it. Because like Taurid only gives you range and XP. I mean, range is very good, but like no combat stats. So those Sylvans would quite often die in those fights. And then you are basically going back to harassing, or maybe you are level taking up to Greenwoods because then you had enough space because your faction was broken to help. So, but now, like, Elven King Feast is fucking over nerfed, and you don't have heroes to support your tier 1 units.
Yeah, and other tier 2s not really worth even mentioning. Like, I think I like the Scavenger. It's 90 seconds Scavenger, right?
Yeah, 90 seconds. I think it was 1 minute.
Yeah, and if you compare it to Lorien Summon, you get 3 battalions and a hero that gives Scavenger.
Yeah.
I think it might last at least a minute, maybe even the same 90 seconds.
Nah, minute. Even less.
It's pretty huge difference, in power level.
Mhm.
And then actually, one thing that they have is the arrow volley.
The tier 4 for 15 PP.
Yeah, Hail of Arrows. If you ever survive until that, you have a instant army wipe in a huge radius. So, they also have that, at least.
Yeah.
But then again, if and when this faction is going to get buffed somewhat, then that power might become very problematic. I think it already is.
Yeah, it is.
Like if you compare it to something like Watcher, the radius is much larger with the Hail of Arrows. It deals damage twice. It deals a lot of damage to heroes now as well.
Yeah, it was buffed.
And it's just instant. There's no way to dodge it.
Yeah, and it doesn't knock up your unit, so you can actually do some follow up with cavalry or whatever else. Because Watcher knockbacks your own unit.
Yeah. But then again, one thing in the faction as well, like their force. I don't think either of them.
I think they're good, but the issue is you need army to actually use those.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's my point. I understand like you have like supporting their force. Those are completely fine, but they are the only options you have. You have only supporting tier 4s. And if you're, for example, losing, let's say you're losing as Misty, you drop Balrog, you actually can turn the game around and win the game.
Exactly.
If you are losing as Woodland Realm, you drop the Horn or the Slag. I don't think that's gonna do anything. So, that's fine by design, I suppose, but just, personal preference, I would, just have them do anything, like by themselves, like literally any effect that you just don't need to have army. It doesn't even need to be a strong effect, but,
Well,
anything.
the Schlag fears enemy units, so...
Yeah, I guess that's something, but like it gives 300% armor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
a lot of
300
experience
XP.
as well. Yeah, but it doesn't give any damage either.
Mm-hmm.
So like if it could give like 100% damage, for example, well, maybe it's a lot, but it's tier 4, so it should be able to end the game without you having fully upgraded army. I don't know. It's a weird design space. Don't mind it, but I think it's just not not tier 4 enough for me. But I do come from 202 where tier 4s actually finish the game. And that's not meant as a jab, it's just different power levels on those powers. These two are generational yappers.
I do like to yap. I mean, I don't, but if there is something I can yap about, then I can yap about it.
Once a year you have to yap a little bit.
Yeah, like everyone asking me, Kung Fu, where tier list? Okay, that goes your tier list. Nah, I mean, I appreciate everyone asking about me doing tier list. So. What's the scavenger time on Misty Mountains? I feel like 2.5 minutes, although maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like 2 minutes.
I have no idea. I haven't probably ever picked it again.
I feel like 2.5 minutes.
Oh, by the way, we didn't talk about White Wolves with Misty at all.
So, White Wolves in 8.3.1, when the weak condition of Misty Mountains, if you survived early game, then your only chance of winning like the game was spamming White Wolves, I feel like. And currently, they not only got nerfed in the price, but also in their stats. And then you also have They Are Coming, which is simply outperforming the Ruins of Angmar. Yeah, so... I don't think there is any point to like White Wolf existence right now. Same with the Gundabad Wolf Riders and the Work Pack. Funny enough, I think Work Pack had the most useful of the three.
Yeah, probably. But I wonder if there was something about Woodland Realm that I wanted to talk about.
No, we mentioned the tier 2s. Yeah.
No, I think we covered it up. Like the most biggest weaknesses are just your weak tier 1 army composition. Like no matter how or what you do with your build order, you are just gonna end up with weaker army than your opponent has, and there's not much you can do about it.
Are the Scavenger income boosted, like more than Rise of the Witch King? I have no idea, but I would never pick it anyway if it was significantly boosted compared to Scavenger and Rise of the Witch King.
Yeah, I think it's higher because ours is permanent. So, would make sense at least to be higher percentage.
But it's Age of the Ring, so I don't expect anything to make sense here.
No. Yeah, but Woodland Realm, like, can be a strong faction, but it is extremely situational, I think, right now.
But like, if they start winning, they win fucking hard. It's like Misty Mountains
true.
in that regard, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good comparison. It's just right now, in order to get into the winning position, it's so hard. It's basically impossible.
the best for the last, as they say.
Well, you know, there's a starting letter that fits that faction pretty well, I think.
No? DG goes into the T tier, who'd have thought?
Yeah, I think the only reason that the Woodland Realm is not in the D tier is that DG exists, and you know, it deserves
Probably.
its own tier.
Like, if DG wasn't there, then it would be like no comparison, so maybe Woodland would be D tier if not for the DG.
Yeah, true. But you know, Dol Guldur.
So, Dol Guldur, you cannot leave your base because you decay, so you're using value on your, like, you are using basically resources, and you are losing CP, like, without fighting your opponent. You have difficulty creeping because your units are decaying, and you already have the worst tier 1 pikes in the game, together with Mordor. You cannot like try to mark your opponents, you cannot compromise creeps. You have to build a fucking towers from the middle of the map to get to your opponents without losing HP. And basically, like, you won't do this and 3 different lanes of the game, and in the game you play it on 3 different lanes, and there's no way you are doing it on 3 different lanes. So you basically have to move through the middle with towers. Your farms are actually more expensive than farms of the other factions. I don't know why. It costs 300. The builder costs extra 100. Then you have to make those builders again, because after being a building they disappear. So it's not only faction with the slower expansion than the other factions, it's also the more expensive expansion than other factions, and then your units are basically dying because they are not close to your buildings. It's truly single player factions. Like, I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview of the faction. There's this gimmick, decay. To be honest, the design, I don't mind it. It's kind of fun.
I mean,
but
it is cool, but
yeah,
in the competitive PvP, there is.
yeah. If you're talking about the faction balance and how strong it is right now, paying 400 resources for a farm, when the whole game revolves around map control and, you know, destroying your opponent's farms and rebuilding your own.
And moving units around.
Yeah, and your farm building is gated by having to pay 100 for a builder and then waiting for the said builder to get built. I think that alone kneecaps this whole faction so badly that they can never compete with any other faction right now.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't keep up with the map control. There's just no way. At least, you know, if you're playing regularly. But then comes the, you know, fun little gimmicks that the faction has. You have very strong cavalry as spiders. Arguably one of the best, if not the best, cavalry, like, early game.
Yeah.
I probably still prefer Dunedain cavalry, but they are definitely up there.
I mean, you can see that they put some thought into it, so you cannot move out of your base, so at least you have strong cavalry that counters enemy cavalry, so you kinda have some space to breathe, but realistically you don't.
Yeah. You have the spiders, and, you know, they can live, they can harass. The idea kind of works. But I feel like every single game you try and do that, you end up having one strong sword pike run into your base.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing you can do against it, and you die.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the game.
And then you don't go spider, so you allow your opponent to have all the map, and then you die anyway.
Yeah. But one of the ways you can your farms fast enough.
Excuse me, but you cut off after one way. I think you ended on one way.
I don't remember what I said, but, you know, spider start and try and defend, but you just, you know, can't afford to trade farms with your enemy because of yours cost more and you build them slower. Because even if, let's say, you have a pretty good situation, you have like 7-8 farms, you build a new builder, the builder has to run all the way to end of your farming like space.
Hmm.
And that's gonna take a long time. And then when you make a next builder, that one has to do that all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it takes so long to expand with this faction.
It's funny because one of the developers said they have one of the fastest expansions in the game.
Yeah, well, you know, I can see the idea with the towers where you can
Yeah.
recruit the builders, but you know, I don't think it's really realistic. You
No,
can't
it's
really afford to pay so much and keep making towers. But then the other way of playing the faction, I think I actually probably prefer this one. Is
Alien.
just go forward jails. You spawn in to the game with 4 builders. It's probably everyone who has ever played the game knows. You just, you know, build 3 farms instantly and send 1 builder forward, get a forward jail, and then support that with second jail or maybe even spiders.
Hmm.
And basically all in push from that point of forward, and that actually might work against some factions. And especially in team games, so like 2v2s when the map is smaller, it can be very potent.
Hmm.
But you know, 1v1s, once you lose that forward spot, you probably lose the game. Because again, you are now locked in your base, you have lost your production building, and you cannot trade farms anymore.
No.
And of course, there's a third way. You know, you just camp it out,
Hmm.
get some archers, get some pikes, maybe a couple spiders. Stay at 450 CP, get necromancer, and
I
then
mean-
start playing the game after 10 minutes.
This was the way of 8.3.1, like the heroes were so busted, especially on DG, that you would just try to camp your way through and then like your heroes just feed off enemy units and you Gucci. You push through the map in the mid game and you absolutely stomp your opponent.
Yeah, can work. Like PG Hero Squad, very strong. But the problem is you have to get them, and meanwhile you are getting them, your opponent has the whole map uncontested, and that usually ends up, you know, not that well. But you know, you kind of have like, you can see the design in the faction. Like, let's be fair here. It's completely like new faction with no like vanilla respondent, you know.
Yeah, true.
And like all those 3 ways of playing, I think are kind of fun. But you know, the numbers just don't add up right now. And that's why the faction is completely alone in its own tier.
But like again, 8.3.1, like the units were very strong, like the Ravagers were even stronger than they are right now, for example. The heroes were stronger, and the thing is, like it still wasn't that good of the faction, you know, and it was not fun to play against, not even that fun to play as, because you relied on like cheesing it to heroes or units. I don't think that's a good design.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, but you know, I think it's starting to, like, you can see the edges of the possible game plan for the faction, that it could at least, you know, somehow work similar to other factions. For example, if you can, you know, just afford more units, and maybe even if you can afford to send some units to one-way trip and die straight into farms, and if that's, you know, cost efficient, then suddenly you almost have like regular gameplay. But right now, your own farms cost more than enemy farms, so you don't really want to like trade units into farms, because if you lose your own farms and you get some of the enemy farms, you always lose.
Yes.
That's just how the economy in the game works. And then, you know, power tree, I think that's something that DG suffers somewhat also. Like, I think all the tier 1 powers that the DG has are kind of suboptimal. Like the Carnage can be excellent. I like
Yeah, it can
be very strong. It can be very strong.
But that comes with a drawback, which is very weird but also unique. So it's not as versatile as a horn.
Yeah, I don't mind Carnage. It's fine.
No.
But that's the best option you have, and it's not always good. So you're in a weird limbo that you kind of want to take it, but then again, you want to take the slowdown power. I don't remember
Yes.
the name.
Chill of the Grave. To get tier
Yes.
2 busted wolves to kill like 2 or 3 enemy heroes with one use of tier 2.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we return to the busted tier 2s. Extremely strong summon and can basically kill anything. Especially heroes. Very strong in that. And you have to take this very suboptimal tier 1. Like, I don't think the power does anything. Like, it's just effects. It says it slows down the units, it says it deals damage to them, but it actually doesn't do anything. It's a conspiracy.
It does something. It does something.
But I don't think it's a 5 power point worth. Maybe the slowdown should be like much higher, I think. Like almost like a stun level. Like you have what? It's for 5 seconds stun with Lorien.
5, I think.
Yeah,
No,
so maybe if
4?
you have like
No, 4.
70% slow for like 8 seconds, then you are almost at the same power level. But I think stun is always going to be stronger.
I mean, you have stun in that middle tier 1, the shade, but it's got kinda nerfed because now it expires after 1 minute.
Yeah. But again, that one as well. Okay, maybe I haven't used it enough. And I know some players like that as well.
No,
But
Dranzer liked it, but now it's no longer viable at all, I think.
Yeah, it's very unreliable, and if your enemy doesn't hit it, it's not gonna stun anything.
No.
I don't know. It's just not good enough. Like I think both of those tier 5s are just not good enough. Carnage it can be, but also it's not what you need some of the times, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah, but like tier 2s then for DG, the Forest of Fear, the Mist is pretty decent. Hysteria is dog shit because it's an RNG. The Wolves are busted. And then you have 2 good tier 3s, the Weather, the Undead Troll. You have absolutely dog shit the Wither at tier 3. And then you have dog shit Bane of the Greenwood on the right side after the Wither, but you also have very good Gift of the Necromancer, so I think it's overall a decent spellbook. But as you said, there is problem with tier 1s especially.
Yeah, I agree. Like most of the spellbook is fine. I even like it, like overall, but the tier 1s, and of course, because they are the powers you start with, I think are the most important ones. Like you just have to have usable tier 1s, otherwise, like already struggling early game to have any map control as DG, because you either go like full on YOLO strategy with a forward jail, or you try and defend, which I don't think it's ever the right decision in this game. Or just spam spiders and hope your opponent is playing Woodland Realm and plays without pikes. And then you don't really have a good tier 1 5 power points to support that. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Also, it's worth to mention, like, I was playing recently a 2v2 game, right? So, Tarnost. And I was like playing around with Rivendell against DG, like Badr was playing DG. And like, holy fuck, when the DG doesn't have to worry about the DK, it's so broken because the units, the idea is DG doesn't have the upgrades, so the units are far much stronger from the beginning, from the get-go, right? And like, I imagine like if you somehow managed to get rid of the decay, or at least made it very easy to get rid of the decay like during the game, then the faction needs so much more fine-tuning just because the units are so strong, because of the design decision that they're already coming out with the upgrades, sorta.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like some maps, for example, I played also 3v3 in South Rune, very close up map.
Yeah.
Quite small.
You don't have to worry about decay basically.
Yeah,
or
when DG doesn't have to worry about decay and they just play like one lane bullshit, it's suddenly extremely strong faction. Like it's so hard to fight them. because there's a lot of like very heavy hitters if they ever can just get into them. Like by the trappers, very strong units, kills heroes instantly.
Ravagers, very strong units, kill heroes instantly. Harbingers, very strong units, kill heroes instantly.
Yeah, there's a team. Yeah, there's like very strong units. A lot of them. But they just have a problem getting into them, and even if they get into them, then you have to get somehow the other side of the map, and that's usually Necromancer. But that boy is lower than dwarves.
Yeah, used to be buffed with Kargas, but that was an issue.
Yeah, he's very slow, like kind of expensive, but cheap enough that you can get him. And then the only way to keep it alive is basically win the game. So, he can't die.
No.
Or get him to level 5. But usually when you get him out, he's either going to die or win the game right away.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is a problem.
It's very, like, that hero is in a very problematic spot.
Yeah, he's...
But at least he no longer has like 300% scare on heroes anymore, and no longer has like 33 leadership on everything from the get-go. Like he used
that's
to.
probably good. But I think like as a main way to survive the decay, I don't think the Necromancer just works in that role. And as a strong hero. Like there's the Castellan unit, right?
Yeah.
Which also does the same and protects the DG units from the decay. But that unit is very expensive and very hard to get because you have to get Tower of Sorcery, right?
I think it's more expensive to get one Castellan than get Necro, because Tower is 1000. I don't know how expensive is upgrades. I think 600, and then the Castellan is 1000.
Yeah, so that's obviously a problem because I think if you make the Castellans like an actual viable option to protect your units against the decay, I think the faction would be in such a better spot, like instantly, because Necromancer just doesn't suit that role in my opinion. But if you had Castellans, like maybe make them cheaper, a little bit spammable, so you can have like 2 or 3 easily in the early mid game, and you can actually use them with your harass group, then suddenly the faction might function.
So another thing, like Castellan should be a defensive unit, and he gives armor buff to your buildings, but now he's kind of becoming this unit which allows you to move around the map, which is very weird. It's basically identity crisis, like with Lorien, I feel like.
Yeah, that's well, a lot of choices to be made for sure. Like, it should be either or. I think it's fine to have like one-dimensional units, and in a lot of the cases it's even better. But just my opinion, of course. But just the whole reliance on the Necromancer is a little bit too much. Like the faction just needs something more, because it's a little bit too hard just to try and play around all the gimmicks that they have right now.
Yeah, as you said, you either get Necromancer early on or you don't get him at all, because if you get him later, he's simply useless. And usually, even if you get him early on, he either does the job and ends the game, or he dies, and you basically you lose, right? Because you lost Necro.
Yeah, it's very all or nothing, and like a lot of DG's options are all or nothing. Like for example, the only other way to be aggressive is the forward jail, and that's also like you either win the game with that or you lose the game with that. Like there's not much else that's gonna happen. Of course, sometimes it might stabilize enough that you have time to build up behind it, and then your enemy cleans the forward and you actually have a regular game. But more often than not, it either wins or loses.
I think that is it, huh?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I feel like I used you because you were yapping more than I did.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
I do definitely yap way too much.
Nah, it's fine. It's good to have yapper here, especially with some good points, observations, and being generally good at the game.
Yeah, it's always fun to hear like different opinions about things.
Good stream, Poero and Concrete. Yappers are appreciated. Yeah. Glad to hear that yappers are appreciated. Okay, boys, I think that is it.
Oh wait, I
What?
think we forget something.
Did we?
There's adventure factions. We're gonna go through all of them, right?
I mean, we have DG right here. What do you want more?
Okay. No, and yes, definitely not going through them, right?
I know Arthedain would be the worst adventure faction, and I think Rune would be the best. But like, what is like everything in the middle? I have no idea.
Actually, I think I have played once with the adventure factions. That's kind of great that there's so much, to discover in the mod.
Yeah, you need
That's
to
kind
play.
of great, but not PvP thing, so not my thing.
Yeah, that's the issue. As when you are already an old gamer, maybe not old gamer, but like if you are adult, you don't find PvP. I mean PvE that interesting. You play one game, and that's really it. And you already get bored quite often.
Yeah.
It's not like during the childhood when you could play skirmish like 100 times, same map, same factions.
All the times.
Good times. Fucking Helm's Deep against 3 AIs.
Oh, EA days we used to play Helm's Deep 2v4 map.
I don't
Such-
even know that map, so.
Oh, I lost lots. Such great times.
Duino has the best late game if I remember well. There is no way they can beat up Rune. I think Rune has too many modifiers. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, boys, thank you for watching. Poero, thank you for yapping. If I manage to get this tier list like downloaded into my computer because I'm running out of space, then I will upload it into the YouTube. They should appear within a few days, so for anyone who didn't make it into the stream. Also, there's my VOD on Twitch. I always have VODs open automatically, so anyway, so again, thank you for watching, thank you for yapping, and thank you for sub, Mr. Patch. Appreciate it. Anyway, see ya, guys.